Hello guys, welcome to the fiction series. Today we are gonna see, what if Naruto was the son of Zeus and got harem? Part 1. Huge shout out to RADICALGIRL39 for this story. If you want more awesome fan fiction like this, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. So without wasting any time, let's get into the video. Zeus came to a small house with a small smile. But he looked around to make sure no one was spying or following him. The coast was clear. He inhaled, then exhaled before knocking on the door. He waited, but nobody came. Was about to knock again, but the door swung open and a hand grabbed the collar of his robe, pulling him inside the house. The door closed shut. He was now facing Kushina Uzumaki, who had a happy look on her face. He raised a brow. Kushina pulled Zeus in for a tender loving kiss. It lasted for 3 minutes, then she broke the kiss. Zeus appeared to have a small dust of pink on his cheeks that he tried hard to hide it. Kushina saw this and giggled. Zeus was the king of the gods, so really he wasn't the #1 winner on expressing his feelings or showing his emotions. But ever since he met Kushina Kunoichi from Konoha, she changed him little by little every day. Kushina grinned. Guess what? What? Why are you so like that all of a sudden? Zeus questioned, still feeling his cheeks burn up more and more. I wanted to tell you tomorrow because I wasn't sure if you were coming today. You're here now, so let's just get it over. Zeus, I'm pregnant. Kushina said quickly. All at once she picked up a bowl of chips with onion dip. Dip anyone? Do my ears deceive me, or did you just say you were pregnant? Zeus asked, sweating bullets. She could not be pregnant. Hera, his wife, would ruin his life. He had some demigod children, but his 2 older brothers made him promise to never have another half-god child. Kept his promise though. Until he saw Kushina, that is. That's when the tides change. He loves her and she loves him. She referred to Zeus as her so-called boyfriend since they aren't married. But he said it was nothing of the sort. They were only good friends, and she pulled good lover friends on him. This girl was totally different from all the others in Hera. Kushina hung her head down. I said, I'm pregnant, Zeus, with your child. She told him. I understand if you're upset. You're the king of the gods. And with your title and position you really don't have time for a kid and all. And Hera and Ali. Zeus clapped his hand on top of her head with his eyes closed, but then he opened them, showing his electric blue eyes. I love you. Kushina's eyes sparkled at those words. She hung her head back down, but quickly lifted it up with a huge grin. Zeus never understood why she did that, always grinning and smiling. Buying a pee almost all the time. I love you too. She whispered, pressing her forehead against his. I am excited that you are pregnant. Really? I'm happy. Zeus grinned to thee. I don't care about my position, or Hera. You're the only good thing that came into my life, and when our child is born it will be more happiness added to my life. And I'll make sure Hera doesn't get to our child. I won't let this baby end up licking me, dear Hercules. I will never let that happen again. I promise. He then wrapped his strong arms around her waist. She wrapped her arms behind his neck, smiling. He kissed her softly on the lips, and his hand trailed down to her stomach. He sensed the tiny being inside her. That brought a smile to his face. Every day when Zeus came to Kushina's house, the first thing that came out of his mouth was, how's the baby? Or is our bundle of joy alright? Of all the children Zeus had, this one was most important and his favorite. He was already getting protective, and the child wasn't even born yet. But Kushina during pregnancy wasn't the best 9 months of her life. She was always had nausea, her ankles were swollen, and she had a bunch of backaches. But 9 months have passed. She was now giving birth, and the seal was breaking. Which was not a good thing. The pain of giving birth is the worst pain Kushina Uzumaki has ever. It really hurts, you know. Kushina grit her teeth as she felt both the baby and the ninetails getting ready to come out. Zeus was sweating bullets as he heard her screams. He saw how the nurses of Konoha tried to help Kushina push out the baby, while she tried to push out the baby and keep the ninetails in at the same exact time. Zeus heard how ninetails roared inside of his lover. The demon was ready to get out. But strong Kushina wouldn't let him out of her body. I see ahead. Cried a nurse with a smile. A few more pushes, Kushina. And you'll be done in no time. Kushina nodded, her teeth gritted more and more, feeling ninetails trying to claw himself out. Her teeth began to sharpen and her nails grew sharper and longer. With on last push Zeus, and Kushina heard a little cry from a baby. Zeus rushed over to the nurse that held the newborn. His eyes widened, they were full of happiness and joy. The nurse gave the parents a tender smile. It's a boy. She said to them, handing the crying infant to Zeus, who carefully accepted the child. The baby looked like Zeus, some mixed in with Kushina's face. He had Zeus's electric blue eyes, Kushina's nose, and even though he was bald, blonde strands of hair was seen on his head. The infant closed its eyes. As soon as the infant opened its electric blue eyes again, the crying stopped all of a sudden. The infant looked at Zeus with curious eyes that made the king smile. His head shot up when he heard Kushina crying out in pain because the ninetails was almost out of her. He needed to perform that sealing jutsu she taught him. As Zeus was about to perform the jutsu is strange. The 7-year-old boy shot his head up from a bad dream. Sweat dripped down his face. The boy seemed to be sleeping in a box. He used dirty stuffing from a couch to lay his head on. He used dirty torn newspapers as covers. The boy laid back down with a sad expression. He had spiky golden hair that had dirt on it, a white tank top that had holes on it, orange shorts with scratches, light bronze skin, electric blue eyes, whiskers on his cheeks, and he was barefoot. The boy seemed homeless but familiar. "Naruto. We're back," called out a boy with black hair. It was in the style of a pineapple, fair skin, a gray shirt that was short-sleeved, brown pants that was torn badly. He had on black boots, black eyes, and he appeared to have a few bruises, not to mention scratches on his face. "It's me. Shikamaru, Sakura, Sasuke, Ino, Choji and Kiba." The boy revealed as Naruto stuck his head out of the box. His eyes lit up when he saw his friends. He grinned happily, jumping up and running over to them. "I missed you guys." Kiba raised a brow at that. "Naruto have only been gone for a few minutes," he told the blonde, who sheepishly rubbed the back of his head. Kiba had on a dark blue jumpsuit jacket, dark blue jumpsuit pants, scratches on his clothes and face, sharp black eyes that were like vertical slit-like pupils, messy brown hair, pronounced canine teeth, blue boots, and he has red fang markings on his cheeks. Choji moaned in pleasure, eating a large bag of chips. Choji had spiky brown hair, a husky and robust body, red swirl markings on his cheeks, silver round small earrings, a green torn shirt that was short-sleeved, his arms and fists were wrapped, white shorts, a chubby face, and light blue sandals. Ino looked at him with an angered expression. "Choji. Did you steal those from that poor elderly man?" she questioned her best friend. Ino was fair-skinned, short pale blonde hair that was a bit messy, green eyes, a purple shirt that had dirt on it, a purple skirt that was barely torn, silver round small earrings, and black boots. Choji pouted. "Iditi was starving. We rarely eat," he whined, hanging his head down some. "We're going to die out here. Yesterday we ate nothing. Oh yeah, at least today we got some stuff." Naruto noticed they were all carrying big brown bags that had different stuff in it. Naruto frowned at the scratches and bruises on their faces and body. What happened to them while they were in the city? They lived in an alley in New York City in the Bronx. They all met when they were 4, all homeless. Not knowing who their parents were, but they decided to be their only family. One big family of best friends who had each other's backs. "Did we really have to steal this stuff?" Sakura asked the rest, placing one of the bags down on the ground. Sakura had a big forehead, short pink hair, a red bow holding it in place, light green eyes, pink sweater that had a messed up red heart in the middle of it, white skirt, and black sandals. Sasuke put down the bag he carried, then stuffed his hands in his pockets with a frown. "Yes, we did. Do you want us to just lay here and die from starvation?" he asked dryly. Sasuke had black eyes with a tint of blue in it, black hair, in the back of his hair was spiky, his bangs hanged on the sides of his face, he had on a black shirt with a high collar, the Uchiha crest on the back, white shorts, and black sandals. "Oh, Sasuke. I was just joking." Sakura blushed with her hands clasped together. She had a somewhat not-so-secret crush on Sasuke. Naruto heard little barks that made his eyes widened. What the hell was that? Kiba grinned at seeing the white pup run up on his head, resting on it. "Oh. This is Akamaru. We found him on Bird Street all alone with no family. He's homeless, just like us. So I am going to keep him and take care of him. He'll be the family pet. We already have enough mouths to feed, Kiba," Sasuke told Kiba. He sat down on a rock, crossing his arms with his eyes closed. "So?" Kiba hissed at Sasuke, gritting his teeth. "Akamaru is just like us. He needs a home. If we left him, he would have died." Naruto took a step forward. "Guys. Let's not fight." He was cut off by hearing a loud growl. Everyone then faced Choji. "Oh, that's right. Face the guy who has an appetite," Choji said sarcastically, then pointed at Akamaru. "Maybe it was Akamaru." Kiba shook his head. "It isn't. All he's doing is sniffing my hair," he said, frowning. Then he smelled something. He began to sniff the air. His eyes widened and his nose scrunched up. "Something stinks." Shikamaru suddenly felt a huge glug of slobber drop on his hair face. "Ugh. Gross. This is a major drag." He grimaced. He turned around to see a hellhound feet taller than him, and everyone else turned to see this. The kids had wide eyes. "This is so troublesome, on so many levels." The hellhound growled and roared at the children, scaring them. A monster was right in front of them. About to devour them. "Looks like this is the end." Naruto came out of nowhere gripping on a hammer. He swung at the hellhound's front right paw. The hellhound cried out in pain, then it grew angrier. Its teeth looked as if it were getting sharper and sharper. As Naruto backed up slowly, the hound walked forward, slowly staring at Naruto, who was scared to death. Was this the end for him? "Naruto, you idiot. Now look at what you've done. It's not only gonna kill you but us." Sakura growled at Naruto, who had on a dust of pink on his cheeks, biting his bottom lip. A woman with long black hair, beautiful green eyes, a purple sundress, and purple boots landed on the hellhound's back. She drew her sword out and thrusted it into the head of the beast, causing it to cry out in pain. The hound fell roughly on its side. Blood leaked out from its head. That woman killed the beast. Awesome. The woman walked up to the group with a beautiful smile. Hello. Do not fear, I'm here to help you. Oh dear, how rude of me. Allow me to introduce myself, I am Rhea. Sakura ran up to the woman, revealed as Rhea with a wide smile and sparkles in her eyes. Rhea. As Indra, the mother of the 6 great Olympians ever. It's an honor to meet you. Well, someone has done their research, Sakura. Rhea said in a kind tone. You know my name? How do you know my name? Sakura questioned, a bit flabbergasted that the most beautiful Titaness and mother of the gods knew her name. Rhea chuckled, I know all your names. She said. Shikamaru Nara, Ino Yamanaka, Sasuke Uchiha, Choji Akimichi, Kiba Inuzuka, Sakura Haruno. Her eyes landed on Naruto. Her eyes twinkled, and Naruto Uzumaki. Looks just like his father. Okay lady, Naruto began walking up to Rhea with a frown. He gestured to his friends, you might can fool them with your big mother of Greek gods little fairy tale lie. But not me. Ah. Not Naruto Uzumaki. I wasn't born yesterday, you know. Sakura and Ino pounded him roughly on the head for disrespecting Rhea. How dare he? This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. He winced at the pain holding it. That idiot. Choji walked up to Rhea with a friendly smile. It's an honor to meet you, Mrs. Rebooted. Why are you here exactly? He asked her curiously. Did you come to save us from the beast? Actually, have been looking for you all for at least 7 years. Rhea told them, and they gawked at her. Yes, the reason is, well, how do I say this? None of you know your parents. Everyone now had a sad expression, shaking their heads no. Well, do you know about Greek gods? Sakura was about to answer, but Rhea stopped her. I'm not one of them. Sasuke looked down. Greek gods as in Hades, Zeus, Demeter, Hestia, Hera, and Poseidon. He asked, making everyone blink in surprise at him. Rhea nodded, yes. Well, they are my children. Auntie have children, except for Hestia, now Hades, Zeus, Demeter, Poseidon, and some of their children have gone out getting human. She tried to find the right word. They were kids. She couldn't just say willy-nilly around them, boyfriends and girlfriends as you say it. And some of them had babies with that human, creating a half-god baby. But we call those kind of babies demigods. They were in awe at that, except for Sasuke, who just stood there looking cool with his arms folded on his chest. Where are you getting with this? He asked, a bit harsh. You all have one godly parent. And the other parent is immortal. You are all demigods. Rhea breathed out. Everyone gasped in shock. They were demigods. Their mother or father was a god of Olympus. Who are our godly parents then? Shikamaru asked. I hope mine isn't a total drag. Rhea took a deep breath. Ino Yamanaka, you are the daughter of Poseidon. That means you are my granddaughter. She smiled. Ino gasped, no, I am Poseidon's daughter. She cheered happily, then turned to her grandmother and gave her tight loving hug. Tears suddenly rolled down her cheeks. Thank you, she sniffled. Ino didn't think Rhea would hug back, but she did. This was a sensation she has never felt before in her life, but she liked it. Rhea turned to Sakura. Sakura Haruno, you are the daughter of Aphrodite. But do know one thing, being Aphrodite's daughter, the rest of her children love to play with other people's hearts. Don't be like them. Got it? Sakura nodded her head firmly. Yes ma'am, she said, then looked over at Sasuke. No wonder I'm so gorgeous, right Sasuke? She asked him with a blush forming. Sasuke ignored her. Well, Naruto saw this and gagged. Kiba Inuzuka, you are the son of Demeter. Making you my grandson, you should be lucky to be her son. You love animals, right? Rhea asked. Kiba nodded, yeah. I love him so much that I'm keeping this stray dog as my new pet. Beauty totally hate cats, other than that, I love a bunch of animals. He said with a grin. Then you'll be a great gardener. Rhea smiled. Kiba smiled, but then it dropped at hearing the word gardener. Wait. What? Shikamaru Nara, you are the son of Ares. Rhea told him. If there is a war, you should be great fighting in it. Oh great. I knew my godly parent was going to be a total drag. Shikamaru sighed. How troublesome. Rhea faced Choji, who had on a grin. Choji Akimichi, you are the son of Hephaestus. You must be very crafty. Choji rubbed the back of his neck sheepishly. Food, maybe not really, he pouted. Maybe his powers from his father just didn't kick in yet. Sasuke Uchiha, you are the son of Hades. Sasuke's eyes widened. Everyone looked at him, shocked to hear that. His father was the lord of the underworld. Sasuke sighed and sat down on the ground. And finally the great Naruto Uzumaki. Rhea mocked, getting Naruto to grumble, crossing his arms. You are the son of Zeus. Naruto's eyes widened, a gigantic grin spread across his face. Yes. My dad is the ruler of the gods. That must mean he must be the Prince of Olympus since Dad is the king, right? He asked Ray. I am, sure. That means you can control the weather, summon storms, summon lightning bolts, create lightning, control air is just so much power. Especially when the ruler of the gods is your father is my baby boy in fact. So you're my grandson. Ray told him. She was getting ready to leave then she saw everyone wasn't moving. Well come on. Get up. You're all coming to my home to live with me. Ray opened the door to her mansion. She took a whiff of her mansion, smelled like sunflowers blooming, as always. This mansion was built by her, it was white because it reminded her something of her old home. Outside of the house there were columns that were also white. The Titaness didn't come back home alone, she brought along with her 7 demigod children from Bronx, New York. All the kids walked in looking around, they've never been in a house this big before. Actually, they've never been in a house before. Hey, a grandma. What's a Titaness like you doing out here in the mortal world? Naruto asked his grandmother who was currently shutting the door. Well back at Mount Olympus, all titans weren't allowed on Mount Olympus. I accepted my fate, I thought it would be nice knowing how mortals are so I moved here in Los Angeles. I bought this land and built my own home. But when I heard some of the gods that I am close to had children from a human, I set out looking for you all. Some of children come here to visit me. Ray explained. Sakura smiled, it's a beautiful home. She commented. Thank you, sweetie. Poor children they don't know the love a mother or father. I know their parents didn't mean to leave them behind but seeing how they look. You know what? I think I may have some fresh clothes for them to slip in. If I want to keep them safe I must train them to know how to use their powers, more monsters will be coming for them. I must keep them safe. When they're 14 I'll send them to Camp Half-Blood. Granny. Ray got out of her thoughts and her eyes met Shikamaru's. Yes. Shikamaru cleared his throat, do you think we could put on some clean clothes? He asked Ray. 'Cause these clothes are a total drag. Ray ruffled his hair, you didn't even have to ask, sweetheart. She whispered to him. Her eyes drifted up at Naruto and Kiba who were pretending they were gods trying to kill each other. She chuckled. Oh, come on guys. Now you're just being real troublesome. Shikamaru rolled his eyes slapping his arms behind his head. Kiba ran after Naruto, fear the power of Ares. He shouted. No. Fear the power of Zeus. Naruto shouted jumping on top of Kiba ending in both of them falling on the ground. They wrestled each other. Sakura deadpanned as well as Eno. Sasuke glanced at his two friends fighting, Itachi thought. As Kiba and Naruto tried getting up Choji jumped in and dived on top of them. Naruto, Kiba and Choji groaned at that. Maybe I should have done something else. Choji groaned. Ray smiled, this feels like a restart of raising my own children. I guess I'm getting another chance. She mumbled. 7 years later. Is that all you got, Naruto? Asked the voice of Kiba. His hair has grown some over the years. He wears a fitting black leather, it has zips over the chest and sleeves, he has black pants and black sandals. He was on a now grown Akamaru. Naruto panted with sweat dripping down his face, I'm just getting started. He yelled with his signature grin. He wore orange pants that stopped at his calves, a orange jacket, the collar was black, his hair had grown some and is still spiky, and black sandals. Ino ran after Sakura, she made a fist thrusting forward toward Sakura's back, but missed. Duck and run, Sakura. Ino's hair grew hip length, she wore a sports red clip on the left side of her hair, she had a flat bang against her face, she has fishnet warmers on her elbows, and the same on her knees, she wore a short purple sleeveless blouse, a purple open front apron skirt over a shorter. A black skirt with short fishnet shorts underneath, and black sandals. Sakura faced Ino knitting her brows, what? No. I never would run from you. She yelled at the light blonde. Sakura wore a sleeveless red top, with black gloves, black low-heel calf-high boots, black shorts underneath a short pink apron skirt, pink elbow protectors, and her hair is almost shoulder length. Alright, Shikamaru says K. Taste my fury. Choji yelled running at the two teens. He made a fist that grew huge. He now wears a red suit, a plated armor, that is on his torso, arms, upper legs, his brown hair has grown down to his waist, and black boots. Shikamaru smirked and jumped in the air avoiding the fist, well almost had me there. He said then lightly landed on the ground on his feet. He wore a green flak jacket, black long-sleeved shirt, black pants, black sandals, and green-lined mesh armor on his wrists and ankles. Sasuke saw Choji coming for him, he kicked the Akimichi down landing on his rear. You really need to work on that move, Choji. He told him with his eyes closed. He wore a brown sleeveless shirt, it was open torso showing his chest and stomach, he has gotten a bit muscular, he wore dark blue pants with a blue cloth hanging from halfway up his stomach to his knees, along with black arm guards that stretched to reach his forearm and upper bicep, he also wore a purple rope belt around his waist tied in a bow, and black sandals. Ray walked out of the mansion to see everyone training. She began training them when they were still 7, she knew monsters would be coming for them. Especially Naruto, Ino, and Sasuke, their parents being the big 3, now that is both awesome and dangerous. When Naruto was 12 he began to create air, when Sasuke was 11 he began to do some geokinesis, when Ino was 13, she stayed underwater for more than 20 minutes, when Naruto got Sakura mad a few days ago, she made his clothes into a smaller size, when Shikamaru was 13, he turned Sasuke's bronze sword into rubber. When Kiba was 9 he controlled some sunflowers making them die, and when Choji was 10 he was blessed with pyrokinesis. They're still trying to control their godly powers as well as their powers from their non-god parent. Alright, everyone come inside. Ray called out to them. They whined except for Sasuke and went inside. Ray came in and closed the door. I'm cooking some food for you all, it will be the last great meal you'll ever have. We're all going to camp tomorrow. Naruto pouted, don't remind us, he muttered, hanging his head down. I'm going to miss you all so much. Ray smiled. Come here and give me a hug. Everyone walked up to her and embracing her lovingly with smiles and such. They really were going to miss Ray, she wasn't like a grandmother, but like a mother to them all. The mother they never had. And for Ray, it felt like she had a second chance to raise her kids without some crazy titan father swallowing them whole. Everyone went into the kitchen to eat their dinner. It was miso ramen with barbecue, and for dessert they were eating baklava, one of Ray's favorite Greek desserts. After eating, Ray told them some stories about their godly parents, it really made them happy to know some stuff about their godly parents. And when I visited Zeus in the cave I was hiding him in, I gave him a stuffed rabbit he named Mops. Ray told the teens who were sitting on the floor listening to her. She sat in a blue recliner chair. Sakura smiled, how old was Zeus when you gave it to him? She asked curiously. Ray thought a moment, oh I remember now. He was 16. She told them. My father, who is known as one of the strongest god on Olympus, had a toy rabbit named Mops. Was he a mama's boy or something? Naruto asked, a little embarrassed that his father got a toy rabbit when he was 16. Don't tell anyone I said this, but Ray looked around then came up closer to the teens, yes he was. And he stopped drinking from a bottle when he was 17. She whispered. Shikamaru, Choji, Sakura, Ino, Sasuke, and Kiba laughed right in Naruto's face. His father was a big baby. Naruto blushed in complete embarrassment trying to hide his face. Akamaru laughed some too. Why dad? Why did you have to be such a wimp growing up? It's hard to believe you took down grandfather. Ray ruffled his hair, but Naruto does have a striking resemblance of his father. Your father's hair is black, but your grandfather's hair is blonde. It was the next day, Naruto and his friends found themselves with backpacks full of supplies and stuff they need. Ray was heartbroken to see them leave, but she was also happy. Dealing with Tanagersa. Choji now had a sad expression, goodbye, Granny. He whimpered, hugging her as she hugged him back. Goodbye my little Cho-Cho bear. Ray whispered in his ear. When he released a hug she could see him wiping away a tear. Ino tried to act all tough but failed, this was her grandmother she's leaving for the first time. She loved Ray so much. Gee, goodbye grandma. She said, trying not to cry. She hugged Ray tightly, not wanting to let go, ever. Ray rubbed Ino's back, goodbye my beloved granddaughter. She whispered into Ino's ear. Then released her. Kiba smiled, Granny, both me and Akamaru are going to miss you. I love you. He told her and embraced her. I love you too, Kiba. Ray said to him with a sad smile. They broke the hug and she patted Akamaru's head, getting a bark from him. Make sure to bathe Akamaru, and you too, Kiba. She told him sternly. Kiba rolled his eyes, yes, Granny. He muttered. And stay away from those Aphrodite girls. Kiba blushed, then he glanced at Sakura, gesturing to her. Sorry Sakura, I gotta stay away from Aphrodite girls. Not me. The other ones. Sakura growled, clenching her fist. She then calmed down to give Ray a hug. I promise we'll visit you when we have the chance. I know. Ray said, releasing the hug and pecked Sakura's forehead. She turned to Shikamaru, who looking up at the clouds. Shikamaru, sweetie. Shikamaru snapped out of watching clouds to face his great-grandmother. He walked over to her with his arm slapped behind his neck. He then saw she wanted to hug him, which he accepted, mostly because he didn't want to face Ray's wrath. Ayumi, I love you. He stuttered. This is Shikamaru we're talking about, not good at saying things like that. I love you too. Ray broke the hug and looked at Sasuke. Sasuke always seemed to be the one to be a loner. She walked over to her grandson and embraced him. His eyes widened but somehow found a way to hug her back. And a small smile spread on his lips. Naruto stood beside Sasuke with crossed arms. Man, look at Sasuke. Thinking he's, well, I am. Me. Naruto Uzumaki. Believe it. He thought, grinning with closed eyes. But he gasped once he felt loving arms wrap around him. His eyes shot open and they looked down at Ray, who was embracing him. He smiled. Don't worry, he'll come back. With everyone else too. Long Island, New York. Y'all have no idea where we're going, do ya? Naruto asked Kiba, who was directing everyone to Camp Half-Blood. Unfortunately, they've ended up in the woods somewhere. Kiba looked up from his map. Well, it's supposed to be here. He snapped at the son of Zeus, gesturing to a tree. Sasuke walked up to Kiba and snatched the map away from him, browsing it. No wonder we're lost. The so-called leader was reading the map upside down. I lead. Naruto suggested with a grin. Never in a millennia years. Eno scoffed with a smirk. Naruto pointed to himself using his thumb. Hey. I'm the son of Zeus. Leading people is in my blood. He narrowed his eyes at the light blonde. Yeah, it is, but is it in your brain? Eno asked, pointing at his forehead. Naruto was about to throw a comeback, but had nothing in mind. It's kind of good to be back in New York. Sakura smiled. Yeah. It really brings back memories. Sasuke sighed. We're in Long Island, New York, not Bronx, New York. Naruto knitted his brows at Sasuke. She didn't say Bronx. All she said was New York. He hissed at the Uchiha. Stay out of this, bird brain. Naruto turned red at that. He was about to teach that idiot Sasuke a thing or two, if it was the last thing he did. Sasuke, you son of a bitch. Choji held Naruto's head under his right arm. Choji frowned. Naruto, you really should ease down your temper. Just do what I do when I'm angry, eat a full bowl of barbecue. With rice balls and dumplings. He said to Naruto, who grumbled something under his breath. What did you say, Naruto? He asked. I sighed. Sasuke is a total dumbus Matherfu. Naruto began to raise his voice, but Choji clamped his hand over the Uzumaki's mouth. Shikamaru took the map and began to let everyone stop in his tracks and held up his hand for everyone to stop walking. Choji gulped from nervousness. What is it, Shikamaru? He asked the son of Ares. Shikamaru knitted his black brows. Don't you hear that? He asked the group. They listened, but just only heard birds chirping and such. Birds? Eno said sarcastically with a sarcastic smile. Like we have heard that before. Fascinating. I'm not talking about the damn birds, Eno. Shikamaru growled at Eno, trying to keep his cool. There's this sound like a bunch of gigantic creatures coming for us. Sakura closed her eyes to listen closely, then she heard a loud thump. The sun made her eyes snap open. Shikamaru's right. There is something coming for us. Naruto was released from Choji's grip. What do you mean by a? Then a giant snake slithered behind Naruto, hissing. Naruto turned around with wide eyes full of fear. The snake hissed and opened its mouth that was slimy with sharp fangs. It launched itself down at Naruto, who jumped out of the way. Eno knitted her brows. She saw a large pond and smirked. She ran over to it. Sakura saw this. Hey. Where are you going, Eno? She questioned Eno, who didn't respond back. Eno lifted her hand up, concentrating. She then turned around looking at the snake, then she directed a wave of water at the snake. The water crashed down on the snake, causing it to fall down. Eno smiled, satisfied. Naruto narrowed his eyes at the snake, who started back, getting up. He roared and released a wave of electricity at the snake, making it cry in pain. Eno saw this. Guys, come on. Shikamaru, continue leading. Move it, people. She yelled, running away with everyone except for Naruto. Naruto then made his favorite hand sign, Shadow Clone Jutsu. He yelled. Summoning up 2 clones of himself behind him. Naruto lifted out his hand to the clone on the left that circled its hand around the palm of the real Naruto. A blue round chakra of energy was now in the palm of his hand. The clone on his right added air to the energy. Get ready for this. Rasengan. He roared, running towards the snake and striking it in the throat, causing it to blow up. He turned around, running away. While Naruto was running, he tripped over a small stump. Oof. He yelped, tumbling in a pile of leaves. Naruto coughed, sitting up. He saw that the sleeve of his jacket was ripped. He got up to his feet, running, trying to find everyone else. He saw the entrance of a camp or something. He stopped at the entrance, looking up a sign, trying to read it, but it was in Greek. But then the word swirled around and then it read. Camp Half-Blood. His eyes widened with joy. Naruto walked and his eyes glowed with excitement. Naruto then ended up watching some demigods battle this girl about his age. She had dark brown hair, a brown battle armor on her torso. She had on a long-sleeved gray shirt, blue skinny jeans, purple and gray shoes, fair skin, and her eyes were gray. She was grasping a wooden sword. The girl struck a guy in his abdomen, knocking him down. She took out 11 guys all by herself. Naruto smiled, but then found himself blushing. The girl looked around for someone else to fight, but she then laid eyes on Naruto. She walked over to him, surprising the blonde. They were now face to face. Naruto greeted the girl with a blush. The girl panted, who are you? I've never seen you here before. Wow. Thanks for the introduction. Naruto cleared his throat. I am Naruto Uzumaki. I just got here. Cause I'm a half-blood, so I have to be here. He said to her, feeling his blush grow. Naruto. You do know what your name means, right? It really? It means fish cake, fish cake. Naruto flushed at the nickname. Kalumsa, what's your name? he asked her. The girl sighed, Chase Annabeth Chase. Daughter of Athena. Whoa. You're a wise girl. You must be great at fighting, I saw you fighting those guys, so you are a pretty great fighter. Naruto stuttered, feeling lightheaded from blushing. Annabeth crossed her arms, cute. Who is your godly parent, fish cake? She asked, not impressed with Naruto. Naruto thought a moment before telling her. Should I tell her? We are friends, no right? Plus I think she likes me, she said I was cute. My godly parent is Zeus. The hand clamped over Naruto's mouth as he tried to talk, but only muffles were heard. The hand belonged to this pretty girl he just met, Annabeth Chase. He acted like a total idiot meeting her, which was like 2 minutes ago, but in his defense it hasn't been around girls much. The only girls he has ever been around are Rei, Sakura, and Ino. It isn't his fault entirely. Annabeth narrowed her eyes at him, you idiot. She hissed at him. What is wrong with you? You can't just go waltzing around here saying names of one of the big three. Especially when, she leaned into his ear, they aren't supposed to have any more children. Her breath tickled his ear, causing him to grin. Luckily he wasn't flushed anymore. Now, that would have been embarrassing. He took her hand off his mouth. Why aren't they supposed to have kids? They swore on the river Styx to never have kids anymore. We cannot have them breaking the promise again. Naruto raised a brow, again. He repeated with a questionable expression. Annabeth rolled her eyes at the lack of his Greek mythology, yes, again. This'll be the second time they broke the promise. Naruto nodded, not really paying attention to what she was saying. He was concentrated on her beautiful steel eyes that seemed to sparkle when the sun hit them. She was pretty for a tough girl. Really. Wosha's prettier than Sakura. And Grandma. And that's saying something. I wonder if she has a boyfriend. Hope not. Wait, why would I hope not? Do I like her or something? I can't, or can I? No. Yeah. No. Yeah. And wait, what's holding me back from liking her? She's hot. A total grade A babe. I wouldn't mind seeing her now. Are you even listening? Annabeth asked him. Naruto jumped out of his thoughts. Why were you staring all willy-nilly at me? Naruto snorted, no reason. Someone suddenly grabbed him by the collar of his jacket. He was now facing a girl around his age with long stringy hair, brown eyes, a white tank top. Her arms seemed to be a bit muscular for a girl, blue jean shorts, and brown boots. Hey there, Goldilocks. What's your name? She asked him, pulling him closer. Naruto gulped, Naruto Uzumaki. Clarisse, daughter of Ares. The girl revealed as Clarisse introduced herself with a smirk. She looked at Naruto up and down, then her eyes met his. You a warrior? I is. Clarisse looked over at Annabeth. Hey princess. She shouted to Annabeth. The daughter of Athena turned to Clarisse. I'll take Goldilocks here off your hands until I don't want him anymore. She then looked up and down at Naruto once more, then looked back at Annabeth. Which won't be soon enough. He's kind of cute. Naruto now had a dust of pink on his cheeks. Thanks Clarisse. He half smiled at her. Clarisse dragged him behind a cabin and pushed him against the wall of the cabin. Surprising Naruto, of course. What did this girl want from him? I was about to duck your head in a toilet, Clarisse began, and Naruto frowned, but you're different from everybody else here, huh? Just look at your getup. What's wrong with it? He asked, pouting, looking down at his clothes. Clarisse let a laugh. Nothing. I was just messing with you. She told him. You look pretty strong, though. Fight one of my toughest guys, and you'll have my respect. Naruto got off the wall, dusting himself off. Fight. Sure. I'm a great fighter. I took down that gigantic snake in the woods just before I got here. He grinned. Clarisse blinked. You mean, she began but looked away for a second dramatically. Snake. No one has ever won against that thing. Whoever went toe-to-toe with Idleways ended up in the grave. She told him. But I guess you do have some quality. Come on, follow me, nachos. She waved for him to follow her while she walked away to a fighting area. Naruto followed her with a frown. It's Naruto. He corrected her. You do know that your name means fish cook, right? Clarisse asked him, trying to hold back a laugh. No, Naruto blushed in embarrassment, biting his lower lip. The two eventually came up across this fighting area. On the ground rocks were everywhere. Not to mention some new blood and old dried up blood. Naruto shivered at that. He saw a group of kids from different cabins watching a fight. Come on, little punk. Call me that name again. I dare you. A teenage boy growled. He was shirtless, showing that he was quite fit. Brown pants, he was barefoot, light brown hair that was pointing in every direction, pale skin, tangerine-colored eyes, and he was holding this boy about 13 from the collar of his shirt. The boy had 2 black eyes, bruises, scratch marks, and blood was dripping down from his nose and a bit from his mouth. Clarisse crossed her arms, laughing at the beaten boy. Naruto saw how bad the boy looked. He narrowed his eyes at the bully. He marched over to the bully, looking him straight in the eyes. What's your name? The bully arched his brows and spat on the ground. Kent, son of Ares. And you've got some nerve coming up here interrupting me beating the shit out of this Hermes cabin kid. He glared daggers at Naruto. Who are, shrimp. The name's Uzumaki Naruto Uzumaki. Son of Naruto remembered what Annabeth told him. Son of none of your business. Now put the kid down. He ordered everyone started doing. No one tells Kent what to do or you'll end up like the kid he's holding. Kent growled, listen here, fish cake. He spat causing Naruto to grimace. I'm the top dog around these parts if you didn't now no one tells Kent what the funk to do. He yelled throwing down the boy now focused on Naruto. You know, you could really use a breath mint right now. Naruto glared at Kent. Everyone started to instigate. Kent pulled his fist back and slammed into Naruto's right eye, knocking him down onto his back. Naruto groaned holding his eye he saw Kent was about to jump on top of him, but he rolled out of the way. Naruto grabbed a shuriken out of his pouch and threw at Kent's arms by mistake. Kent looked down at his bicep to see a cut mark and some blood forming he then got angrier. Show no mercy Kent. Fill his ass Kent. We want him bleeding worse than the Hermes kid Kent. Damn this guy is gonna totally kill me. I gotta think quick what to do it too I got it. Time to spin some incredible jutsu. Naruto thought with a smirk. Clarisse shook her head, dude such an idiot. She muttered looking at Naruto. Naruto then ran up to Kent and slammed his fist onto his mouth. Kent was sent back a little but he didn't hit the ground, he spat out some blood. Then cracked his knuckles and neck in a threatening manner. Fishkake were so dead now. Age Bunshin no Jutsu. Art of the Shadow Doppelganger. Naruto grinned and 4 doppelgangers were behind him. Alright, team. Let's teach this old dog some new tricks. They sprinted over to Kent who gawked. The Narutos cracked their knuckles, well looks like it's time to get you no shrimp. They grinned deviously, then thrusted their fist onto Kent's abdomen, back, arms, legs, and face. One clone held Kent back. Come on. Get him. The other 3 zoomed to Kent punching him in his face, causing blood to appear on his nose and some drip down from the side of his mouth. He yelped and cried in pain. The real Naruto slammed Kent down onto the rocks. The 3 stomped on the son of Ares, they made him stand up eventually. The real Naruto thought now was the time to wow the audience. He held out his hand the clones circled their hands around his palm, creating a ball of blue energy. What in Zeus's name is that? Clarisse asked out loud. What is that? Cool. This has never happened before to Kent. Who is that kid? He's powerful. He made clones of himself. Now he's got a blue power thingy in his hand that the clones are making for him. The Narutos grinned. Kent's eyes widened, no no. He cried seeing Naruto running towards him holding the energy in his hand. He then thrust it into Kent's stomach, causing him to howl in pain. Rasengan. Naruto yelled the clones disappeared in a puff of smoke surprising the crowd, but then they focused on the Rasengan. Moments later Naruto held back Kent so that he would apologize to the Hermes kid he bothered. Kent looked real bad better than the Hermes kid. Naruto nudged him in the back, go ahead and apologize, Kent. He narrowed his eyes at Kent scaring the poor teen. But in Naruto's defense, he deserved it. Kent gulped looking the kid in the eyes, I'm sorry he apologized to the boy. For what? Naruto said to Kent. For beating you up. I like violence to take over sometimes too much, please forgive me. Kent said to the boy who nodded with a small smile running off. Naruto let Kent go who glared at Naruto. Don't get too excited about your so-called Victorian day we will fight and he will destroy you, Naruto Uzumaki. That's a promise of a lifetime. Naruto snickered, Mfake then. I'll fight you again one day, but get ready. Because I will be stronger than ever. I hope you will be too. He grinned giving Kent the thumbs up sign. Kent's eyes softened, why would you want for me to get stronger too? Knowing I will beat your ass into next month? He asked gritting his teeth. Naruto smiled, it's Bekase don't want what happened here again. Next time when we fight, I want you to get right back up and continue fighting until every ounce of your energy is gone. Because I'll do the same thing. He told Kent. He then held out his hand for Kent to shake it. Good fight. Kent stared at Naruto's hand, then hatred took over his body. I ain't shaking that hand. Like I said your ass is mine. He growled walking off holding his side. Naruto dropped his hand to his side frowning at the troubled teen. Clarisse walked over to Naruto and punched him roughly in his shoulder, causing him to yelp in pain. What? I did what you said. Naruto cried rubbing his shoulder. I'm just showing affection. In a harsh way. I like you Goldilocks. This time I mean it, you're the first ever person to take down Kent. You're okay in my book and you're kind of hot in my book too you know. Clarisse winked at Naruto making him rub the back of his neck sheepishly grinning and blushing. But Eno camp half-blood. Eno walked out of Chiron's office with everyone else. But they said they were going to look around and such for Naruto, so Eno set off on her own. But was completely lost in this camp. Aren't I lost? If I was Naruto, where would I be? Aha. A ramen shop, duh. But I don't think they have those here. I really hate this bit, however I did get to see some handsome guys that were cuter than Sasuke. Sakura got to go with him. Curse that girl. I wonder where. Eno bumped into a guy a year older than her. The guy caught her before she could fall. She looked up at him to see a handsome Esseter. He was dark-skinned, he had black hair, black eyes, a goatee that was black, a brown warrior armor on his torso, very muscular arms, and his legs were like goat legs, hair, fur or whatever was brown. Sorry, didn't mean to knock you down like that. Well, almost knocking you down. The satyr said to her, letting her stand on her own. He held out his hand with a small smile. Hi, I'm Grover Underwood. He greeted Eno. Eno's mouth dropped at the sight of him. Her cheeks heated up some. Damn, you're hot. She blurted out but put her hand over her mouth. Why would that be the very first thing you say to a hot guy sitter? Grover felt himself blush some, he thought she was kind of hot too. Kind of. Thanks, you're the first girl to say that. Well, let me rephrase that, you were the first girl at camp to say that I'm hot. Grover said. Eno chuckled nervously, then shook his hand. Why wouldn't anyone call you hot? I mean, come on. Look at you. You're a hunk. She said to him, still with a small blush. Grover waved her off. Nah. You're just saying that. No, I'm not. I'm serious, really. Eno giggled. By the way, I'm Eno. A demigod. The two realized they were still holding each other's hands, then quickly took them back with huge blushes. Grover clapped his hands together. I gotta run. But just so you know, I think blondes are my kinda style. He winked at her, walking away backwards slowly. See you around, Eno. He then missed and fell over a rock. Eno winced but he got back up. I'm okay. I'm okay. Grover's cool. Grover's cool. He then walked away with a grin. Eno looked away with a goofy grin. Love-struck. I think I'm in love, she whispered with a dust of pink on her cheeks. She walked away full of joy and happiness. Los Angeles with Zeus. Zeus knocked on Rhea's door 3 times, patiently waiting for her to open the door. The last time he has seen his mother was 17 years ago, way before Naruto and his friends were born. Rhea opened the door, her eyes lit up seeing her baby boy. Zeus, me boy. She smiled, embracing her son who returned it. They released a hug. Come in, dear. I'll brew us some tea. Zeus walked in and sat down in one of the chairs. Rhea soon sat down too before making the tea. She was tired. What can I do you for? Zeus cleared his throat. Well, mother, I came to see Naruto. Is he here? He asked his mother, who frowned. I'm sorry, Zeus, but he left yesterday with. She trailed off, humming a song to herself. Zeus raised an eyebrow. With who? I don't know what you are talking about, son. Rhea said stubbornly. Then she glanced in the kitchen. What is taking that tea so long? She asked out loud. Zeus strained a smile. Mother, you didn't make any tea yet. He said to her, making her gulp. I know you have my son, where is he? The camp. With who? Zeus pressed. Rhea fiddled with her dress. I'm sorry my baby boy, but I'm afraid I cannot tell you that. She whispered loud enough for Zeus. Zeus placed his hand on top of his mother's. She looked up at him in the eyes. They reminded her of Zeus when he was just a boy, and then Naruto's image passed through her mind. I'm so sorry. Hades and Poseidon went with the offsprings of Ares, Aphrodite, Demeter, Hephaestus, Hades and Poseidon. She sighed, begging her sons for them to forgive her one day. They told her to never tell anyone about their kids. Hades didn't know about Poseidon's, and Poseidon's didn't know about Hades, and Zeus didn't know about both of them, and they didn't know about him. Zeus shot up from his seat full of rage. Damn it. He cursed and began to walk out the mansion. Why didn't they tell me? Why didn't you tell me, mother? He shouted, facing Rhea, who knitted her brows at her son. I had a reason, Zeus. Rhea shouted back at him. When would you see that this world doesn't revolve around you? If your brothers didn't want you to know, then they didn't want you to know. Just like how you didn't want them to know about Naruto. You abandoned him on the streets. Just a child. I never did that to you. Even when your wretched father tried to swallow you. That's not the same. Zeus yelled. Rhea clenched her fist. Yes, it is. If you cared about your son so much, you would have taken care of him. Zeus felt his eyes burning. I didn't have time. I am a king. Rhea pointed a finger at her son. That's exactly what your father said when he swallowed Hestia. I did not abandon him, his mother did. She is nothing but a drug addict. Teddy don't get what happened. But I did not leave him, she did. I will never forgive her for doing such a thing to our son. Then why in the world did you leave him with her? Zeus felt tears build up in his eyes. He squeezed the doorknob. I thought you were different, Mother, but apparently, you're just like everyone else out there. He yanked the door open and walked out, slamming it behind him. Rhea tried her best to hold back her tears but just couldn't. She let the tears run down her cheeks. This was her baby boy. And she cared deeply for Naruto. He was one of her favorite grandchildren from Zeus. What was he going to do to his beloved brothers? And what was going to do to Sasuke and Eno? She was so worried. But Annabeth. She was sitting down on her bed reading a book about Greek mythology. It was adventures of various famous Greek heroes such as Heracles. She hated reading that page, Perseus, and other famous ones. A knock on her door made her look up from her book. "Come in," Annabeth mumbled. The person who opened the door was Naruto, who had on a huge grin. He closed the door behind him and sat next to Annabeth on her bed, trying to see what she was reading, and his eyes twinkled at the title. "When I was little, my grandmother used to read me that every night," Naruto told Annabeth, who faced him. Annabeth tapped her chin. "What are you doing here, fish cake?" she questioned him. Naruto grinned. "I wanted to see you, of course." At that moment Annabeth felt her cheeks heat up. She kept her head down so he wouldn't notice. "Thanks. You didn't have to thaw, no one really does, except for Grover and Luke occasionally. You're a loner, ain't you?" No one has ever asked her that question before, but she answered it anyway. "Yeah, if that's what you call it. Then yeah," she said quietly. Naruto placed his hand on her shoulder. "You know, I was alone too. Before I met, that is." He told her, and she didn't respond back. "We can be friends too, if that's okay with you," he offered. Annabeth had a stunned look. "You wanna be my friend? Don't you think I'm weird? Or a bookworm? Or a wise girl?" she asked him. Naruto shrugged. "Not at all." "Well, you are all those things." "No. Wait. That's not what I meant. You aren't stupid. You're so wise, you could be a sage." "No. Hold on a minute." He blushed, stuttering some. Clarisse and some of her friends were outside Athena's cabin listening to the two. Clarisse was shell-dropped at what she was hearing. "What?" a girl asked, curious at what Clarisse heard. Clarisse smirked. "Everyone, spread the news. Annabeth and the new camper Naruto are in there." She gestured to Annabeth's cabin. "Getting the goods in there, if you know what I mean." Everyone looked at her questionably, not knowing what the hell she meant. Clarisse eyed deadpanning. "Naruto and Annabeth are in there taking each other's virginity," she told them. Everyone nodded in understanding, then grimaced at that. "Now go. Shoo. Tell everyone you see, damn it," she ordered, and they ran off, telling people, much to Clarisse's delight. "Naruto. Naruto," Annabeth shouted, trying to keep him from acting like an idiot. Clarisse laughed at hearing Annabeth. She was thinking Annabeth was moaning out Naruto's name. She listened in some more. "Just stop, okay? I get it, don't act like an idiot all the time," Annabeth joked, chuckling lightly. Naruto smiled hearing her laugh. "So we're..." Naruto trailed off. Annabeth smiled. "Yeah. Yes. 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 Yes." Naruto cheered, jumping up and down on his feet. He immediately hugged Annabeth, much to her surprise, but accepted it. He pinned her down to the bed by accident. "Sorry." He apologized, then realized he was on top of her. "It's okay." Annabeth blushed. "Suo, what do we do now?" she asked him, looking up at him. Before he could answer, the door flung open, showing a bunch of campers pointing and laughing at the two on the bed. Clarisse was at the front of the campers with a huge smile, pointing at Naruto and Annabeth. "Here we are, everyone. What you just heard was the sounds of sex, which these two campers were doing unprotectedly. This was the laugh of the day, everyone." "Really? It was?" Clarisse laughed, then put on a serious face. "This was given to you by yours truly, Clarisse." Naruto jumped off of Annabeth with a flushed face. "We weren't doing anything of the sort. Honest." Clarisse pointed at Naruto. "Liar. We saw and heard you humping her." She smirked. "Not to forget those inappropriate moans." "Oh yes. 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 Yes." She impersonated, looking at Annabeth. Annabeth stood up. "Shut up, Clarisse. We weren't doing that. We were just discussing plans," she said, narrowing her eyes at the daughter of Ares. "Oh, we know." Clarisse nodded. "Sexual plans." Annabeth pointed at the exit. "Get out now," she roared with a flushed face. Clarisse turned around at the exit, waving for everyone to go out. "That's right, people. Move it. We gotta let them have their second powwow." She then looked at Naruto. "You know, Naruto, you can do a lot better than that," she said, pointing at Annabeth. "She's too much of a good girl, but I can be a bad one just for you," she told him seductively before slamming the door shut. Naruto turned to Annabeth. "That was. I hate Clarisse. Always trying to find some way of torturing me. Now she's made me sound like some slut." Annabeth grunted. "I don't think you're a slut," Naruto said to her, quietly blushing. Annabeth shot him a look. "Of course you don't. You're the involved in this crap. You know what the hell happened here. And it wasn't anything inappropriate." Naruto gestured at the door. "Should I g? "No. You have to talk with Shiren about being here and stuff." "I'll go with you," Annabeth offered, grabbing his hand, walking out of the cabin, only to be greeted by a bunch of campers who went gaga over seeing the two holding hands. Annab saw this and took her hand back with a blush, as well as Naruto. "Oh, come on." Annabeth and Naruto whined, running away from the crowd. Zeus had called for Poseidon to meet him in the council room. He was staring outside wondering and thinking about Naruto. He remembered the night his beloved son was born. He remembered how Kushina was tragically taken away from him, leaving him and Naruto alone. He took care of his son for a few days, but then abandoned him in New York. He thought it was the only way to keep him safe from Hades and Hera. He didn't want the whole Thalia and Heracles incident to happen again. "Yo. Brother, how you doing?" asked the voice of Zeus's older brother Poseidon. He had sea-green eyes that sparkled, a nice tan, a quite muscular built, dark brown hair, dark brown facial hair, a Greek robe that was white, and a friendly smile. He walked over to his little brother. Zeus lightly nodded. "Poseidon." He greeted his big brother simply. Poseidon chuckled lightly. "What kind of funk are you in?" he questioned. "Usually you're happy or something, though you seem a bit down in the dumps." Zeus narrowed his eyes at the god of the sea. "You should know why," he snapped at Poseidon. Poseidon got in a thinking position. "Nah, I got nothing." He sighed. "Oh. Is it because I ate your baklava? I'm sorry, but I love baklava. Especially the one mother makes. Delicious." He whispered the last part, licking his lips while rubbing his belly. "It isn't about some damn baklava. This is about you and Hades," Zeus growled. Poseidon knitted his brows a little. "Zeus," he began, "you have to be a little more specific," he said to him with a serious look now. Zeus trailed his hand across the wall. "I went to mother's home today. She told me something that concerns you and our weirdo brother Hades. What she told is something I quite didn't believe at first. Except you do not know Hades' secret," he told mother. "Do you know what I am talking about, brother?" he asked, narrowing his eyes. Poseidon squeezed his eyes shut, wishing this was nothing but a nightmare. He opened his eyes and realized what he had to do. A girl and a boy. Different mothers. "Ino Yamanaka and PercyxClarisse," Zeus said with a sigh. "You named your child after my late son Perseus. Your daughter's middle name is mother's name." Poseidon laughed a little. "Sally, Percy's mother named him that. She said the only reason she named him that is because Perseus was the first half-blood ever to have a happy ending. She wanted the same thing to happen to Percy. Rachel, Eno's mother's, gave her that middle name because it was the only thing she could think of," he told Zeus. "Honestly, I don't care. You need to hear something. When I came here from mother's, I couldn't find the thing that makes me special. I looked around for it but could not find it. That's when I realized it was stolen. And I thought, what would steal it?" Zeus asked himself, mostly glaring at Poseidon. Poseidon frowned. "You think that I stole your damn bolt? Of all the craziest things you've said in your time, this is the craziest. Why would I want to steal it? I'm your brother, for crying out loud. And everyone knows that gods cannot steal each other's powers." Zeus clenched his hands into fists. "That is true, so I thought again, who else besides a god or goddess would steal my master bolt?" Then, it hit me. Poseidon thought a second, then his eyes widened. He grabbed the collar of Zeus's armor and pushed him onto a wall roughly. He gritted his teeth. "You listen, and you listen well. I haven't had contact with either of my children. Whose fault is that? But I swear on the river Styx I will end you if you lay a finger on my children. How dare you speak to your ruler like that? Scum like you and Hades make me sick." "Shut up. You're scum too. I know you broke the oath too," Poseidon yelled, tightening his grip. Zeus stared into Poseidon's sea-green eyes that were full of rage. "It doesn't matter." He hissed and pushed Poseidon off of him, causing the sea god to stumble back some. "I have a feeling that your son has my bolt. PercyxJackson has exactly 10 days to give me back my bolt, or there will be war," he said, walking away slowly. "If one of your kids harm my children, we'll kill them in an instant," he said in a threatening tone, then stopped. "It's a boy, his mother was amazing. Kushina and we named him Naruto Uzumaki." He then vanished in a bolt of lightning, leaving Poseidon by himself. He named his son after fish cake. Poseidon mumbled with a confused and questionable look. Tyron was watching his fellow centaurs race across the beach. "Steady on those legs, Acharamus. You'll be down faster than you can say my ass is killing me." He then saw 2 teenagers running towards him. It was a girl and a boy. He recognized the girl Annabeth, and the boy didn't know who the hell the boy was. Annabeth Shiren greeted the gray-eyed girl. He turned to Naruto. "Who might this be?" he asked Annabeth, but mostly Naruto. Naruto got in a saluting stance. "Naruto Uzumaki, sir. Reporting for duty, sir," he said, puffing out his chest. Annabeth palmed her face. Tyron chuckled at Naruto, then turned to Annabeth. "Kid's got heart." He turned to Naruto. "I admire that." Annabeth pointed at the blonde using her thumb. "Naruto's a new camper," she explained. Tyron nodded in understanding. "New camper, you say? If you do not mind, Mr. Uzumaki, I have a few questions for you." "Questions? Okay. I can totally handle questions. I'm a questionnaire." Naruto grinned. Annabeth rolled her gray eyes at his immaturity. Idiot thought. "Where did you come from?" Chiron asked. Naruto wrapped his arms behind his neck. "First I lived in the Bronx part of New York. I lived on the streets as an orphan with my friends who were also demigods, until one day this Titanus lady who turned out to be my grandmother found us and took us in. The Titanus turned out to be Rhea, so we moved in with her. She lives in Los Angeles." Annabeth's jaw dropped in disbelief. "Your grandmother was Rhea? As in the mother of the gods Rhea?" Annabeth asked with awe and disbelief covering her voice. Naruto shrugged, "Yeah. But it isn't a big deal." Tyrant stroked his beard staring at Naruto, "Interesting. Do you know your godly parent?" he asked. Naruto then tensed. He remembered about Annabeth telling him about the big three, something about an oath, river Styx, and don't say he's Zeus's mortal child out loud. Annabeth saw how tense he was. She intertwined her hand in his, causing him to blush heavily and grin stupidly, but he snapped out of it when she squeezed it for comfort. "Yes. My godly parenta, his name starts with a Z." Tyrant thought a moment, then it clicked. He walked over to Naruto and leaned down to his ear. "By the gods, please tell me it isn't Zeus," he begged in a whisper. Naruto nodded and squeezed Annabeth's hand. Tyrant took it 2 steps back. "Your father is a victim of his own hormones." He chuckled, shaking his head lightly. "Have you summoned any of your abilities you've inherited from your father?" he questioned. "Yeah, actually I have. I'm real great at doing air stuff, lightning, and other stuff. It is a negative." Naruto pouted. Air was the thing he was great at. Not to mention the shadow clones and Rasengan which he inherited from his mother. Tyrant stroked his beard. "Don't worry, it just has to click. And training Harriet will click, I promise you that." He smiled, then looked at Annabeth. "Annabeth, show him around here and show him Zeus's cabin." Annabeth nodded, "Okay." The two walked away but didn't notice they were still holding hands. Annabeth and Naruto felt the sensation on their hands. The two looked down slowly and flushed as they realized they were still holding hands. The two quickly pulled away. "Naruto." Naruto turned to see who called him and he saw his friends running towards him, then wrapping him in a tight hug. Naruto hugged back, laughing with his eyes full of happiness and joy to see his group of friends. They released the embrace. Sakura punched him on his head, making him cry out in pain. Annabeth tried to hold back a laugh. "Naruto. You idiot. We were worried sick." Naruto whimpered, rubbing his head, "I'm sorry." Shikamaru crossed his arms. "Naruto, you are such a drag." He half smiled. Toji sighed in relief, "Thank the gods, you're okay." Fiba whistled, noticing Annabeth. "Wow. She is a whole cup of MMM, he said, walking over to her. "Hi, I'm Kiba Inuzuka. Son of Demeter, and you are flipping gorgeous. How would you like to be Kiba's girl?" He winked. "Kiba's girl?" she repeated, then snickered. "How about I give you a little present?" Fiba rubbed his hands together. "Kiba likes presents. Especially when the present is a babe like you," he said, grinning, leaning closer to her face. Annabeth fake smiled and she wrapped her arm around his neck and pulled him in closer. Their lips were just a few inches away. Annabeth then twisted his arm behind his back and flipped him, making him land on his back roughly. Kiba groaned. "If you're looking for a girl to flirt with, I suggest go to the Aphrodite cabin," Annabeth told him. "Well be." Sakura waved goodbye to Naruto and the rest followed her to the training area. Naruto frowned. "Wait. Butte just," he trailed off, then sighed. "Got back to each other." Annabeth saw this and rubbed his shoulder, then she thought of something. "Hey Naruto, there is someone I want you to meet. She's my best friend actually." Naruto grinned, then faced her. "Who?" he asked with curiosity covering his voice. Moments later Naruto found himself standing in front of a tree that was real tall. Naruto blinked at the tree. "Thysis, her best friend, this chick's crazy. It's a tree for the love of all Raymond," he thought, then deadpanned. He turned to Annabeth, straining a smile. "Annabeth is a tree," he said in a calm voice, gesturing at the tree. "I know. But, you really need to know the story of this tree before you judge." Annabeth frowned at him, making the blonde covering his mouth. She then faced the tree. This tree was never a tree at first, it was a demigod girl named Thalia Grace. She was the daughter of Zeus. Naruto's eyes widened and he gasped, looking at the tree. That was the very first time that the oath was broken. Hades found out that Zeus had broken the oath, sent monsters after Thalia. Grover, Luke, and I tried to get her to camp where she would be safe, but she gave herself up to protect us. The monsters killed her. Zeus decided to turn her into a tree, so that gave her another way to live. Her tree protects this camp from monsters. Maybe if I tried hard enough I could have saved her from death." She sniffled, feeling tears run down her cheeks. Naruto saw this. He wrapped Annabeth into a tight, loving hug. He hesitantly put his head on top of hers and she snuggled her head into his chest, still crying. He then put his hand on the bark of the tree. He felt the vibrations in the tree. "Hey sis, you're a hero. I just want you to know what you did will inspire me to become a great hero like you. I really wish I could have met you, Thalia," Naruto thought with his eyes closed. "Annabeth, I dunno what it's like to lose a loved one. But I know it must feel like a hole in your heart. You have to accept what happened." To fill your heart back, all you have to do is never forget your other loved ones. And to always fill your heart with new love. He smiled. Annabeth lifted her head out of his chest to see Naruto's famous grin. She saw the wind blow through his golden locks of hair and the sunshine bright on his face. The way he held her caused the girl to blush, but this sensation is something she has never in her life felt before. Naruto raised a brow when he saw Saturn, Eno behind him, and a teenage boy about his age. The three were now in front of the two. Hey, Annabeth, you're busy. My bad. Grover grinned at the two embracing. They quickly got off each other, clearing their throats. He turned to Naruto and held out his hand. I'm Grover Underwood, as you can see I'm a satyr. Don't judge. Naruto shook his hand with a smile. Naruto Uzumaki, son of the big guy of the Olympians. Grover's mouth dropped almost to the ground. Yaru-no-san. But how? He asked in awe. Well, it starts with the birds and the bees. You see, when a man loves a woman, Naruto was cut off by Grover. No. Never mind. Grover now had a disgusted expression. Eno walked up to Naruto. "So boy, wonder are people ganging up on you begging to have your autograph?" she asked with a smirk. Naruto crossed his arms. No. I can't tell people who my father is or the great oath of the river Styx will be broken. Apparently my dad, your dad, and Sasuke's dad made an oath to never have children. But their hormones took over after seeing our moms. I didn't need to know that. I just asked if people are asking for your autograph. Eno rolled her eyes, then glanced over at the black-haired boy. Oh yeah, Naruto Uzumaki, meet my little half-brother Phyllis Jefferson. She introduced the two boys. The boy looked at her. It's Percy Jackson. He corrected her with a frown. Oh. Yeah, he don't really care. You have to care, him your brother. Half-brother? Still. Naruto blinked at Percy. So, you're a child of Poseidon too? He asked. Percy nodded, apparently. But you do know that your name means fish cake? Yes. I know. Naruto yelled with a red face, then sighed, pinching the bridge of his nose. Note to self: when you meet dad one day, ask him why the funk did you name me after fish cake? He thought. What are you doing here, Grover? Annabeth asked her friend. Oh. Percy saw you and wanted to say hi. I told him that you would squash him like a bug, but he didn't listen. Grover shrugged and Percy punched him in the arm. He winced, rubbing his arm. Ow. Eno walked over to both Naruto and Annabeth. She pulled them close to her mouth. That Satyr Grover is totally sexy and hot. She whispered, staring hungrily at Grover, who was looking at Thalia's tree. She pushed the two away. Annabeth cleared her throat. Okay then. Oh, does Eno has her first crush other than that bastard Sasuke? Naruto teased, poking her arm. Eno grabbed his hand and twisted it. Shut up, fishy boy. She grumbled and he nodded. She let it go as he rubbed it. Her eyes then focused on Grover. Oh Grover. She called out to him with a grin. Grover looked out at the camp and his eyes widened. Guys. Capture the flag is about to start. He told them. Annabeth's mouth dropped. Oh my gods. I forgot today was Friday. Damn it. She cursed, running off to the site where it was taking place. Naruto smiled, watching her go. He'll definitely look over her. He thought, and this time he didn't blush or anything. His heart just throbbed from happiness. Capture the what now? Percy asked with confusion. Ha. This is a fun game to watch. Grover grinned, walking to where the other campers were training at with Naruto, Percy, and Eno. He found some armor for them to put on for the gamut. Wasn't this training or something? Percy grunted, trying to straighten up on him. Ah god. How can you guys wear these things? It weighs more than me. He complained. Look, trust me. Wear it or you'll get killed. Grover told him. Percy blinked at that. What? Wait, what? He said, a little frightened from dying. Naruto patted Percy's back. Don't worry, Percy. I got your back, and so does Eno. He assured the son of Poseidon, who glanced over at Eno, who was chatting with Grover. Percy nodded. Yeah. She's totally got her brother's back. He said sarcastically. Naruto snorted, looking at what Percy was watching. Eno's just got her first real crush on your satyr friend, Grover. I don't see why she likes him. He's good looking, and all beauty thought she was into the loner type. Percy raised a brow at that. Loner type. What do you mean by that? He asked. There's this guy named Sasuke who she really likes, and he's a bastard who really, and I mean really, pisses me off. He's a cool loner kind of guy, but then there's my old crush Sakura, who madly in love with him. Eno and Sakura like fighting over Sasuke's love, which is stupid. I'm just glad she likes someone besides Sasuke. Sakura on the other hand will probably love him until the end of time. Naruto explained. I'm sorry about Sakura. Naruto sighed. It's okay. I mean, I kind of think I found my real crush. He said with a grin. Really? Who? Percy asked, wanting to know who Naruto liked. Naruto smirked. I'll tell you, when you're ready. You'll be the first to know, cousin. Percy rolled his eyes and then he saw all the demigods who were getting ready to battle. Naruto grinned at the sight. Heroes. Fighters. Come here. Chiron called out to the demigods who were about to play. Hustle, hustle. Gino and Dino. Stop lollygagging. He then looked in Percy, Eno, and Naruto's direction. You three, step forward. Percy hesitated some but Eno, who was behind him, pushed him in front of Chiron. Naruto chuckled at their sibling actions. This is PercyxClarisse. His sister Eno Yamanaka Chiron was cut off by Eno. Half-sister. Eno corrected Chiron. Chiron looked over at Eno, may I continue? He asked her and she gave him the thumbs up sign. Now where was I? Oh. Yes. And fishcake Uzumaki. Naruto's eye twitched, it isn't fishcake. My name is not fishcake. It's Naruto. Same thing. The demigod kids yelled causing Naruto to groan. Chiron looked at the two teams, a blue one and a red one, they are going to need a team. He told them and everyone shook their heads muttering to one another that the three campers wouldn't make it. We'll take him. Said the voice of a male about 15. Everyone turned in his direction, he walked up to the three. I'm Luke. Son of Hermes. Where's your helmets? He asked the three. Naruto scratched his head, you see don't have one. He smiled nervously. Neither do I, Eno told Luke with a smile. No one gave me one. Percy said a little embarrassed. Ah, Luke looked up at Chiron, you still got your wheelchair. These guys are gonna need it. You three are goners. Eno's eyes widened, Naruto gulped, and Percy had a scared look on his face. I'm messing with you guys. Smile a little bit. It's good for you guys. He said then looked at Naruto. Especially you. I can tell you smile a lot, am I right? Naruto grinned, yup. Luke turned to the blue team which was his team, anybody's got 3 extra helmets. He asked his team. Please pass them up. His team handed him 3 extra helmets he turned to the people that needed it holding it out for them to get. Try it on. It'll protect you. Welcome to the blue soldiers, my friends. Naruto, Eno, and Percy slipped their helmets on. Annabeth was part of the red soldiers she smiled at seeing Naruto but felt bad that he wasn't on her team. Why in Zeus's name did she feel this way? Alright. Everyone in position for capture the flag. First team to capture the enemy's banner wins. Chiron told the teams. Dismissed. Everyone turned around and began walking to the forest where they would start capture the flag. Annabeth however stared at Naruto who jumped onto the ground whipping his hair to the side. Naruto tightened the armlets on his arms, then glanced up to see Annabeth, he smirked. Hey. Why aren't you going with everyone else? Naruto asked her. Annabeth crossed her arms, I figured I should wait for you. It's the least I can do. She said walking over to him now in front of the blonde. Naruto snorted, you really wanna kick my ass out there didn't you? He asked placing his hands in his back pockets. Annabeth was now in his face just inches away from his lips, you know I will. She whispered sending chills down his spine. She turned around leaving with everyone else. Naruto gulped still watching her, Manthet is one crazy chick. He commented. Percy walked to Naruto's side, he looked up at him, you ready to kick some red soldier butt? He grinned some. You two dunderheads are going to need my experience. Eno said walking away slowly with the others. I mean it. Percy scoffed, what kind of experience have you had? Naruto sighed and patted Percy's head, don't ask, just don't. He told Percy and grabbed Percy's arm dragging him to where everyone else was heading. Clarisse walked by Naruto and Percy, she appeared to be a red soldier, Jackson. She greeted Percy harshly. Percy rolled his green eyes Clarisse. He greeted her harshly also. Naruto noticed this, what's up with these two? He asked Percy and Clarisse. She tried to dunk my head in a toilet. But somehow the water blasted out of it and onto her and her group of friends. Percy huffed. Clarisse shrugged, what? It's a new camper thingy almost did it to you Naruto but I like you better than Percy. It's Percy. Percy told her. Whatever. Clarisse said. She began walking faster but paused to look at Naruto. Oh, and Naruto. You look sexy in that armor. She winked at him causing him to blush. Naruto cleared his throat, thanks. When the two teams got ready Chiron called for them to go and fight. The teams clashed together fighting each other, some people were knocked down and kicked around. Not to mention cut with the swords they were Yasenji, they were using real swords. Crazy isn't it? Luke began running, Percy, Naruto. I know where the flag is at. Come on. He said. Naruto and Percy followed Luke, they were watching out for red soldiers that were nearby, trying to do sneak attacks on them, but they didn't see anyone only trees and rocks. Naruto gripped his sword. Keep your eyes open and don't get killed. Luke instructed the two who nodded. The male red soldier came out of nowhere, he swung his sword thinking to cut someone, but he only cut the top part of Luke's helmet as everyone dunked. Naruto kicked the male causing him to fall back onto the ground. Yeah. That's why you never mess with the Naruman. Got it. Punks. Naruto grinned cheering, but he then turned white as the male stood up with an angry expression. Naruto weakly laughed. Punks. Did I say punks? No, what I mean to say Wasi gotta run from this dude. He shrieked and ran away from the male who chased him. Naruto tripped. He looked up and saw the male about to strike him using a sword, but Naruto blasted him away using air that shot out from his foot. The male was thrown onto a large rock, knocking him out. I'm good like that. Really. Sons of Ares. Luke warned, grabbing Percy and Naruto. There were two of them drawing a sword at the three. Whoa. That's a sword. That's a sword. Percy gulped, no kidding. Percy, Naruto. Get out of here. Luke ordered. Find the flag. Go. Percy and Naruto began running until they were tired. The two reached a creek. They were sweaty, panting, and all of the above actually. They dropped to their knees near the water panting. They dipped their hands in the water and bringing it to their mouths to drink until Naruto spotted the red soldier's flag. He grinned and threw down the water. Percy raised a brow at this but saw the flag, understanding what he was doing now. Naruto walked in the water and then to the flag. He touched it and began to laugh at his victory, and Percy joined in the laughter of victory too. We're the greatest ever. Percy grinned. Naruto kissed the flag. Once we bring this back to our Temevrian, will be on their knees thanking us for what we did. He said, and about to yank it out of the ground until Annabeth jumped down from a tree, causing both Naruto and Percy to scream. Didn't someone ever teach you to never sneak up on people? Did you really think that it would be that easy? Annabeth asked, staring into his eyes and watching his movements. Annabeth took off her helmet, throwing it to the ground, walking forward while Naruto backed up. You know that my mother is the goddess of wisdom and battle strategy, so you know what that means for me. I always win. Dang it, if only she didn't look so seductive and pretty right now. Naruto thought, then smiled. Annabeth, you weenie, however, seemed to lose. But what if we're both wrong, eh? Annabeth cut the front part of his right hand, drawing blood. He looked down at it and screamed in pain. She then cut the right side of his face, drawing blood and making Naruto fall back, but he kept his balance, barely. Ow. What the funk is wrong with you? Naruto yelled. Annabeth gritted her teeth. Fight. She said. Grover, Eno, and Chiron arrived only to see Naruto and Annabeth about to fight. Percy stood up, grabbing his sword. Don't worry, Naruto. I'm coming to help. He trailed off, seeing Clarisse in front of him now twirling her sword. Or not. Clarisse grinned like a mad woman and began to fight Percy, who couldn't keep up. Naruto swung forward, but Annabeth twisted his arm. He backed away some, but didn't see her coming in to elbow him in his stomach. The red soldiers and the blue soldiers showed up to watch the two fight. The red soldiers cheered for Annabeth and Clarisse. Annabeth kicked him in his stomach, sending him back some. He then grinned some, trying to be himself. Grover gestured at the two. Chiron, shouldn't we get in there and stop her? He asked, concerned. She's killing him, man. Are you kidding? This is the best part. Chiron chuckled with a smile. Eno laughed, yeah. Plus I'd pay money anytime to see Naruto get beat up by a girl other than Sakura. Annabeth swung forward, but Naruto blocked her sword using his. She then drew her sword down, cutting his arm, drawing blood. She pushed him down, dropping Naruto to his knees as he tried to catch his breath. Stand up and fight. Annabeth demanded. Hero. She mocked. And at that he found little strength to help him stand up. He swung his sword at her head, but she dunked under, struck him across his abdomen that was covered by his armor. He fell down on his knees once more. Annabeth kicked him roughly in his back, making Naruto fall down defeated. Annabeth walked over to her team as they cheered at her victory. She watched Naruto groan in pain on the ground. He slowly turned around so that he could lay on his back. His electric blue eyes stared up at the heavens. Naruto, you must find a source of energy to heal yourself. When you find it, you'll become powerful, a voice of a male told him in his mind. Naruto closed his eyes and felt his cuts and bruises fade away like a forgotten memory. His body was full of power and strength, felt like he could rule the world. His eyes shot open. Naruto grabbed his sword after standing up, which surprised Annabeth and her team. Chiron smiled, as did Eno and Grover, so did Percy. Naruto smirked. He saw a red soldier running his way and he blocked the sword and elbowed him in the face, knocking the male down onto the ground. Another one came, but he flipped the guy over his shoulder. One more came and he tripped the guy on the ground using his sword. Annabeth ran up towards him, about to strike Naruto down, but he held his sword to her throat with his signature grin. He winked at her. She drew her sword at his, but he swung his sword up, about to go for her head. Annabeth saw this and ducked Naruto, then took her arm and stole away her sword, placing one behind her neck and one in front. Annabeth stared at him. He handed Annabeth her sword, which she took. Naruto twirled the sword in his hand, walking over to red soldier flag and yanking it out of the ground. The blue soldiers cheered at their victory and for Naruto. Percy walked over to Naruto and wrapped his hand around the flag, also holding it up with Naruto. Grover grinned, cheering with Eno. The two hugged each other lovingly, but then quickly separated with blushes. Chiron held up his stick with a smile. Clarisse grinned, now high's my kind of man. Knight. Excuse me. Excuse me. Ladies and gentlemen, son of Zeus and the son of Poseidon are coming through. Grover shouted, trying to get out of the crowd of people while acting like a bodyguard for Naruto and Percy. While Eno rolled her eyes. And don't forget the daughter of Poseidon, everybody. Eno then grinned, feeling special. A hero named Naruto is coming through. He then saw a guy staring at Naruto. Hey, no dirty looks. They made their way over to a table filled with food. Naruto grabbed a plate, about to choose his food, until three nymph girls caught his attention. Hey Naruto. Said the blonde nymph girl. She turned to the one with brown hair. We're having a party at our place later, said the brown nymph girl. And we would really love it if you came. Finished the blonde girl. Naruto shot them a smile. Sure. I would love to come, that'd be great. He said, then paused. Would you serve ramen? He asked slowly. The brown one nodded, of course. Then I'll be there. Eno coughed, getting their attention. I'm Naruto's friend, and the daughter of Poseidon think that I should come too. She said with crossed arms. Percy joined in, yeah. Me too. I would love to come to the party also. Grover also joined in. Thanks for inviting us, ladies. He smiled. Eat it, nymphs. Ordered the voice of Annabeth, who trying to get to the table, and the three girls left, but Grover followed them, trying to ask if they were still invited. She noticed Naruto packing his plate with food. She began to fix her plate also. Feeling like a hero. She asked him with a friendly smile. More like king. Naruto joked. I never really got this kind of attention at Hime, never really made like friends beside the ones I grew up with. But no, things are different. I figured out my dream is to one day become one of the most legendary heroes of all time. But it sounds cheesy and corny, no? Annabeth shook her head, not really. I mean, you are one of the first people here to have a real dream. Everyone here just wants their dream to be to surpass their parents, which will definitely get them killed. Gods don't want their children to be stronger than them. I'd sound like jerks, I'm glad I'm not one, you know. Naruto grinned. Annabeth snickered, why? Why do you always do that? Naruto raised a brow, do what? He asked with confusion written all over his face. You know, grin and smile at everything, you are just so different than everyone else here. Annabeth smiled a little. I really don't know why I grin or smile or laugh like that, it's a force of habit I guess, but I feel like it's more than that. Like I picked it up from either my mom or dad. Well, I think that you're awesomely unique, Naruto Uzumaki. Annabeth smiled. Naruto felt his cheeks warm up at the compliment. He walked away from the table with Annabeth, but then remembered something. Hey. You know, you could have killed me out there, you know, if I was normal. You aren't. Naruto gave her a questionable look, but we're friends. He pointed out. You agreed to be my friend. Friends don't try to kill friends like that. I lied, I don't want to be your friend. I have a feeling you don't like me very much. Naruto said. Annabeth nodded, it's possible. You're real immature and childish. Naruto pouted, no, I'm not. Okay, maybe I am, just a little bit. He told her. She stopped to look at him in his eyes. I definitely have strong feelings for you. Annabeth told him, and Naruto blushed at that. I just haven't decided if they're positive or negative yet. Naruto smirked, well, you let me know when you figure it out. He whispered, leaning up closer to Annabeth. Annabeth smiled, you'll be the first. She whispered back, leaning in more. They broke apart when the campfire exploded and everyone took a step back while some demigods took out their weapons. The fire turned into a giant demon, the skin looked like lava and the wings were on fire. The demon looked around as if he were looking for something or someone. PercyxClarisse. Show yourself. The demon demanded. He didn't see Percy, so he threw a large fireball at a table, destroying it. A lot more people drew their weapons. The demon threw another large fireball at a pig that roasting, destroying it. It was about to throw another until. Stop. Naruto yelled in front of the demon. The demon looked down at Naruto. What is it that you want, demigod? It asked harshly. Naruto clenched his fist. My name is Naruto Uzumaki. The son of Zeus. King of the gods. And you will not take my cousin PercyxClarisse. The demon's eyes widened, so it's true. Zeus does have another mortal, a Springy will have to destroy you once I get the lightning bolt. I hear that you may one day be as great as Zeus. Or either surpass him. It said with a smirk. Chiron was beside Annabeth and Percy. He drew his knife and sword. Hades. PercyxClarisse. Bring me the bolt. Be a good boy, hand it to M, and I'll exchange it for your mother. Chiron growled and saw Percy running up to Naruto's side. Listen, Percy. My mother's gone. Percy shouted at Hades. No. Your mother is still alive. I sent the Minotaur to abduct her. She is here with me in the underworld. Hades told Percy he created a fireball in the palm and lifted his hand down so that Percy could see an image of his mother Sally in the fire. Percy blinked, "Mom?" Percy, the image of Sally, whispered. Hades swiped the image away. "What have you done with my mother?" Percy questioned Hades while gritting his teeth. "If you ever want to see your mother again you will bring me the bolt. And the son of Zeus as well." Hades then disappeared in the fire. Naruto turned to Percy with questionable eyes. "Itachi will figure this out," he assured Percy, who shook his head, turning to Chiron. "What does Hades want with me?" he muttered to himself, then followed Percy. "I have to go get her," Percy told Chiron. Chiron shook his head. "You don't have the bolt. And you cannot give him Naruto, he is very powerful." "Look. I'll tell him the truth. And I'll try to negotiate with him not to take Naruto. When he understands everything I'll release her." Naruto shook his head. "No. He won't. I know this because I lived with his mother Rhea, who is also my grandmother. She told me how he isn't the explaining or talking things through kind of guy. When he finds out you don't want to hand me over and that you don't have the bolt, won't hesitate to kill both you and mother." Chiron placed his hand on Percy's head. "This is what we'll do, we will go to Olympus and convince Zeus of your innocence and try to have the Olympians watch over." Naruto carefully. "We can't have another Thalia accident again. And I promise ya we'll do everything in our power to bring your mother back." Grover, Annabeth and Eno showed up, but they were behind Chiron. They were concerned for both Naruto and Percy. Percy nodded, okay. Later that night. Naruto was sitting crisscrossed in front of his late half-sister's tree with his eyes closed. But then they opened, revealing electric blue eyes. Naruto was wearing clothes that he would never wear in his life. He wore a short-sleeved black shirt with a bloody lightning bolt in the middle of it. He wore a white hoodie and had the hood on his head. The hoodie wasn't zipped up. Over the hoodie he wore a blue jean jacket that had a hood and it was open, not to mention it was on his head. He wore a white belt with gold diamonds on it and the buckle had the letter N on it, which was gold. He wore black and red jeans and orange and black Nikes. "Hey, Thalia. It's me, your brother Naruto. I guess you're the only person that I can share my feelings with, huh? You totally get me. I'm having the exact Hades problem that you were having when you were just a kid. He wants dad's bolt and he wants me for some odd reason. I guess we all have family issues, am I right? So I guess you're the only person I can trust with this secret. It's about this girl I like her, name her Annabeth Chase. She told me you guys were best friends, so you must know how awesome, not to mention dangerous she is. Today we played capture the flag and she almost killed my ass. Literally. Anyways, I met Grover and Luke, your other best friends. They are some cool dudes. Our cousin Eno Yamanaka has a major crush on Grover, which I don't get why, but okay then." Naruto paused when he saw Grover, Annabeth and Percy arguing. "Sorry sis, but I think our friends are planning to go on a time-sensitive mission. I'm going. Bye." He waved bye to the tree and ran over to the three, scaring them. "Oh, sorry. Naruto. You too." Percy groaned. Grover laughed. "Ha. Ha. Triple team." Naruto sighed. "I want in. I coming to the underworld with Yaon, the son of Zeus. I have to be a big shot hero somewhere, you know." He grinned to the. Percy sighed. "This is something I have to do on my own." Annabeth faced him. "Yeah, well, we weren't asking for your permission. I don't need your help." Percy, "Listen, I've only been out in the outside world a couple of times. All I've ever done is train and train and train. You're going to need my experience of 1 battle of 100s. Annabeth pointed out. Naruto pointed at her. "Good point. You guys really want to come?" Percy asked the three. "Yes, Annabeth, Grover and Naruto shouted in unison. Percy shrugged. "Okay, so I guess we're all going." "Wait. There's one more important person we need for this group," Naruto said, then smirked. "And I know just the girl for the job." Moments later, Eno was giggling and happy. She was standing beside Grover. Percy was shocked that his half-sister was coming on the mission. "No." Percy screamed. Eno whacked him on the head. "Oh, shut your trap. I'm coming because I wanna, plus your mom is part of our family." She muttered the last part under her breath. Grover smiled. "Well, I for one am happy that you're coming along," he said happily. Eno had a dust of pink on her cheeks. "Thanks, Grover. I'm happy you're coming along too." "Okay, how are we getting to the underworld exactly?" Naruto asked curiously. "Didn't think of that one." Percy mumbled. Annabeth thought a moment. "I think I know someone who might," she told them. Luke's tent. The group walked into a tent that was full of video games and things of that nature. Annabeth was behind Luke, who was playing a video game. "Luke," she called him, and he looked up with a raised brow. Hey guys." Luke greeted them and continued back to his video game. "Percy, Naruto figured you two would stop by sooner or later. Everybody does. To get away from all that Renaissance fair stuff out there." He paused the game he was playing and stood up to face the group. Naruto pointed at the screen. "Is that zombie Death Eater's 8? 5 expansion pack? He asked Luke with a smile. Luke nodded, just came out 2 weeks ago. He smirked. Naruto snickered, "Nissa very nice my fellow Death Eater destroyer. Well you know, welcome to the modern world." Luke said outstretching his arms. Grover looked around, "Nice stuff," he commented. Eno nodded lightly, "Cool." She commented. Luke rested his hands on a table, "So, what are you guys up to?" He asked with curiosity. "We're going to get my mother back," Percy told Luke. "Oh." Annabeth spoke up, "Your dad is the messenger of the gods. One of the ones who's gotten in and out of the underworld," she said. "Do you have any idea how?" she asked the son of Hermes. Luke thought a moment, "My dad's a jerk. I've never met him." "You too?" Naruto and Percy said. Luke shrugged, "I guess we all have daddy issues." He smiled small. "That's because all gods are the semessal fish, they only care about themselves." "That explains a lot," Naruto said out loud. "Beauty once broke into my dad's house and got some really cool stuff," Luke exclaimed and grabbed a medium-sized box. He blew the dust off of it. "For you." He handed the box to Naruto. Naruto felt something moving inside. He removed the lid off the box and saw 2 pairs of black and white shoes with wings on the bottom. Everyone except for Luke gasped when one of the shoes flew out the box. Naruto raised a brow, "Flying shoe?" he asked out loud. Eno rolled her sea-green eyes, "Didn't you pay attention just one bit when Grandma was teaching us about the Olympians?" she asked in a sigh. Naruto shook his head, "That explains a lot." Annabeth murmured and got a glare from Naruto. "My dad's," Luke told them. "He has hundreds of these little guys." He grabbed the shoe and placed it into the box. "Won't even miss him. Look underneath the other one." Naruto looked underneath the other shoe and pulled out an old bronze map. He handed the box to Annabeth while he unfolded the map. "You see, people have to the underworld without being dead. Hercules did it, Orpheus did it, my dad does it all the time. Getting in is the easy part, getting out, well, that's tricky." He pointed at the map. "This is the map to Persephone's pearls." The name Persephone rang through Naruto's ears. He remembered who that was now. Persephone's daughter of Demeter Persephone? Naruto asked them. "Didn't that bastard Hades marry her?" Annabeth nodded, "Yeah. He forced her to marry him. He keeps her prisoner. Persephone hates it there. It's hot, he's a weirdo. So she has some secret visitors," Luke said. Naruto felt his sweat drop. "Why does that sound so seductive?" he asked Luke. "Because she likes to sleep with other people while Hades isn't around her." Luke smiled. "Those pearls are all over the world. These pearls, they provide a quick escape from the underworld. You could use them to get out." "So how do the pearls work?" Eno asked Luke. "Easy," Luke began. "You take a pearl, step on it, crush it, visualize where you want to be taken. Right now there's 4 pearls in the United States. This map will guide you to them." He stood and pointed somewhere on the map. "There's your first location." The group saw the location appear. Auntie M's Garden Emporium. Grover read the location out. Luke lightly nodded. "Once you find the first pearl, the map will show the next one, and so on and so forth, then you're off to Hades." He smiled, but then he remembered something. "Which reminds me, you guys may need some extra protection." He picked up a shut shield and handed it to Naruto. "My favorite shield. You might want to take a step back." He warned. The others took a step back. Naruto slid his hand through it and gripped. He heard a creaking noise, then the shield turned into a full shield. They were in awe while Luke smiled with his arms folded on his chest. Naruto half smiled, "Thanks Luke. You're the best." He winked. Luke shook his head, "No need to thank me." He now had a serious face on. "But you are gonna have to promise me one thing," he told them. "Shoot." Naruto grinned. "You see my dad on the highway to hell, kick his ass for me." The bus dropped them off at Auntie M's. Eno had changed her attire. Eno wore a purple long-sleeved shirt with half her stomach out, a black leather jacket that was unzipped, a black belt, tight light blue jeans that had stylish rips on them, and black boots. The group walked into the shop. Grover used crutches to walk to look like a human. "This place definitely needs an extreme makeover," Grover commented. "Hello?" Percy called out into the vast emptiness. "Anybody home?" Naruto called out. "Hello? Anybody home and Nanny live?" Grover asked the emptiness. Eno sighed, "Isn't there supposed to be some sort of old lady that smells like prunes?" she asked the rest of her friends' teammates. Naruto nodded, "But they don't like the word old. Call them elderly people." Grover walked over to a cooler that read free sodas. "Check this out. They got free sodas." He chuckled. Annabeth walked over to the cooler with Naruto. "Get me a soda." Naruto grinned. Grover nodded. He opened the lid and saw a whole family of black rats. Naruto and Grover grimaced and screamed, but Grover slammed it close. Annabeth grimaced at seeing the rats. Grover whipped his hand on his shirt. "Okay. That's nasty. The health department needs to give this place a F." Annabeth turned to everyone, "Hey, guys. Check this out." She walked outside and stopped at a fountain and pulled her right sleeve up. "Look at this." Naruto snorted, "Your arm?" "No." Annabeth rolled her gray eyes at him and dipped her right hand into the water of the fountain, pulling out a few gold drachmas. "Gold drachmas." She told them and stuffed it in her back pocket. Grover smiled, "Means we're on the right track." "How are we gonna find a pearl in this place?" Annabeth asked the group. "Good question," Percy mumbled. "Okay, we split up into partners and search this place from the down up to the up down." "Got it. Good. Okay. Let's do this, people," Naruto said, then clapped his hands together. He went with Percy, while Annabeth went alone, and Eno went with Grover. Naruto and Percy were looking at some of the statues with weird looks. Annabeth slowly walked forward. She looked around, but she shrieked when she felt someone grab her shoulder. Annabeth was thinking it was Naruto. She lifted her hand about to slap the person, but paused to see it wasn't Naruto, but a crying and screaming lady. The lady pulled on Annabeth's arm. "She's coming," she cried. Annabeth looked at the lady questionably. "What? Who?" she asked the lady. "This is Doe's. Directions. My poor husband. Help me. Please. Help me." The lady cried with tears running down her face. She pulled Annabeth for her to follow, and Annabeth sighed, following with the lady having hold of her arm. Grover was inside looking at some statues with Eno. Grover then spotted a satyr statue. He walked up to it and began to chuckle, and Eno went up to it look as well. Grover chuckled, "Oh. Check this out. He looks just like my Uncle Ferdinand. That's Krazigat the mole in the same place," he said, mostly to himself, looking more at the statue of the satyr. Eno saw how weird the statues look. "These statues aren't just any regular old-time statue. Something made them know. What monster do you know could turn people into solid statues?" she thought, tapping her chin. "HMPH, can't be my Uncle Ferdinand because my Uncle Ferdinand was killed by Grover," trailed off as his eyes widened in shock. "Medusa," Grover and Eno said at the same time. Grover looked at her, "Jinx. You owe me a soda after this." Eno smirked, "I'll get you a soda when I see two hellhounds," she told him. "We're in Medusa lair. We gotta get everyone out of here." "Percy. Naruto. Annabeth," she called out, running. Grover followed her. "Percy. Naruto. Annabeth. We're in trouble," he called out, running. Percy and Naruto heard the calls and looked around. "Grover. Eno," Percy called out. "Eyes," Naruto called out. Percy took out his pen, he pressed the button, and it turned into a 3 feet long sword he called Riptide. Naruto and Percy began running to look for Eno and Grover. The lady was still running, dragging Annabeth with her. "We have to leave before she finds us," the lady cried, running. Annabeth grunted at the grip. "Who?" "She turned my husband to stone." Percy was running, looking everywhere, but did not see Grover or Eno. "Grover, where are you guys?" Naruto frowned. "Eno, Grover." "Percy. Naruto." Grover and Eno yelled in unison. Then started back running. Annabeth. Where are you?" "Grover. Eno." Naruto and Percy yelled, running. The four ran into each other, knocking them all down on the ground, groaning. Percy sat up, groaning, "Come on, guys. Watch where you're going," he complained, slinging his backpack around his shoulder, standing up. Then helped up Eno and Naruto. "Where are we?" Naruto asked Grover. Grover ran to Naruto. "Naruto. We're in Medusa's lair." Naruto's eyes widened. Annabeth," he called out, running. Eno, Grover and Percy followed him, calling out Annabeth's name. We're lost. We'll never make it," the lady cried, still running, dragging Annabeth along with her. She stopped running once she saw a woman with pale skin, venomous green eyes, a big black bonnet over her hair, and a black robe, also wearing black sunglasses. "Oh." Annabeth put the lady behind her. "Don't move," she told the lady. The woman cleared her throat. "Well, this is a fabulous surprise," she said. "It's so hitting to have such young visitors." She rubbed her hands together. "We get so lonely here. Don't we?" she asked a statue leaning on one. "That's why I create my statues. They're my only company." She then faced Annabeth. "Daughter of Athena. How do you know me?" Annabeth questioned her. "You have such beautiful hair," the woman complimented, walking over to Annabeth. She gently brushed Annabeth's dark brown hair in her hands. "I once had hair like that. I was criticized by many men. Some even gods. But that all changed because of your mother." She let go of Annabeth's hair and walked over to the place where she was standing. "The woman who cursed Muo turned me." She began to take off her bonnet. Annabeth squeezed her eyes shut. "Don't look," she told the lady that was gripping Annabeth's wrist. The lady closed her eyes and covered them with her hand. Into this. The woman finally took off her bonnet, and snakes were in her head instead of hair. She revealed herself as Medusa. They say eyes are the window to a person's soul. She took off her sunglasses slowly. "I hope you find my eyes attractive," She showed her eyes. So rude not looking people in the eyes. Come on sneak a peek. The lady slowly removed her hand from her eyes and opened her eyes looking at Medusa. Medusa instantly turned the lady to stone. Annabeth felt the grip on her wrist harden. She tried to free herself, but for some reason the grip felt cold and rough. Naruto, Eno, Percy, and Grover were behind a statue and saw Medusa. Grover swallowed. How are we gonna fight something we can't look at? He asked the three for plans or an idea. Eno had an idea, a reflection. Anyone have anything that can reflect like a mirror or something? Percy rustled through his jacket pocket and pulled out his iPod. He lifted it up. Now everyone can see Medusa and Annabeth some. Naruto watched how Annabeth struggled to keep her eyes closed. He felt his heart race. Good idea. Grover complimented Eno, who smiled. I'll get Annabeth, you guys take care of Medusa. He turned around and walked away quietly. You will make a wonderful addition to my collection. Medusa told the statue of the lady, walking over to her with a sly smile. We will be friends forever. Do you mind? She asked and slapped her sunglasses on the lady's stone-cold hand. She made her way to Annabeth. Naruto knitted his brows. Oh no, no, he whispered, keeping his sight on Annabeth. Medusa got in Annabeth's face, letting her snakes roam around the daughter of Athena's face. Sooner or later, you will open those eyes. Temptation to look at Maze too hard to resist. Naruto growled, don't do it, Annabeth. Don't open your eyes. He yelled to Annabeth. Medusa's head shot up. Who's that? Another demigod. She said to herself. She glanced at Annabeth, then went out to look for Naruto. Naruto rushed quietly for Eno and Percy to hide somewhere else. Percy gave Naruto Riptide for protection, which he happily accepted. Naruto hid behind another statue. Medusa went to the statue where they hid first. She tingled a bit. I can sense you. She felt his presence again, and she continued searching for Naruto. Naruto ran some. He kept looking back every time. Then he got behind a statue. He looked behind it and saw Medusa was a few feet away from him, staring at him. She placed her hand on the head of a statue. Son of Zeus. Medusa said, staring at him. I used to have a crush on your daddy. She pushed the statue she was holding. It fell on another one, knocking it down, then another, then the one Naruto was behind fell on top of. He grunted in pain. Annabeth tried to get her hand free from the grip of the statue, but couldn't. She looked around to make sure Medusa wasn't nearby until she heard footsteps behind her, then she closed her eyes again until a hand was gently placed on her shoulder. She looked to see whose hand it was Grover's. Behind him were Percy and Eno. Grover smiled softly. Need a hand? He asked her, backing up, then lifted up his crutch. Annabeth sighed in relief. Oh Grover. He slammed his crutch down on the hand of the statue, causing it to break off. She took the hand off her wrist, throwing it to the ground, rubbing her wrist. Thanks. Come on. Let's go. Eno told them, running off, and they followed. Naruto, still under the statue, scratched and clawed trying to get out from under it. He was halfway out from under it. He spotted Riptide a few inches. He got out some more and reached arm out to get it, but Medusa kicked it away. Then she grabbed him out from under the statue, holding up so that we're now face to face, but Naruto kept his squeezed shut. Medusa gritted her teeth. I hear your cousin has the lightning bolt of your father. Can I see it? She asked. He doesn't have it, lady. Naruto snapped. Let me see your eyes. I hear they're bluer than electricity. Medusa hissed and cupped the left side of his face. She let go and held her head down to let her snakes on her head roughly poke Naruto's face. Or my hungry babies will have to open them for you. Naruto grunted. Get your damn snackus out of my face, lady. Medusa lifted her head and then cupped his face again. It would be such a shame to destroy such a handsome face. Stay with me, Naruto, you have to do is look. She whispered. Naruto felt himself relax. He was about to open his eyes. The red pickup truck came crashing through the wall, knocking over chunks of statues. Naruto fell down, and a chunk hit Medusa, and she fell down also. Annabeth drove the car. Grover was in the passenger's seat. Percy and Eno were in the back, catching their breath. Annabeth had her eyes closed and she lifted her head up. Is everyone okay? She asked, concerned. Eno coughed. Yeah. Could have been worse, Percy said with a smile. Grover shot his head up with his eyes closed. He felt his face and laughed. Yeah. I'm okay. Medusa got to her knees and swatted the dirt. Son of Zeus. She hissed. She saw a piece of metal on the ground. She stood up, looking at it from all angles. But she saw Naruto in the reflection holding up Riptide. She gasped once a cutting sound was heard. Naruto Uzumaki was the second person to ever behead Medusa. Naruto panted and twirled the sword in his hand, heads up. He mumbled, looking at the head on the ground. He wiped the blood off Riptide and onto the hood of truck. Hey guys. You can open up your eyes now. Grover, Annabeth, Percy, and Eno jumped out of the truck. Annabeth, Grover said, and walked over to her. She was standing beside Naruto. That was great demigod driving. He complimented and fist pumped her. Annabeth smiled. Thanks. Percy grinned, it's so awesome that I even hit my head. Percy, ever heard of these words? Shut the hell up. Eno asked him with a strained smile. Percy rolled his eyes at her. Grover grimaced at the head. We should take it with us. Annabeth suggested. Grover frowned, the head. Ugh, that's ick. If you open the eyes they still work. Dead or alive. You never know when something like that will come in handy. Annabeth said. Grover sighed, you were right. But I ain't touching it. Percy turned to him, come on, man. Take off your jacket, we'll wrap it up until we get some ice. Grover looked at all of them, whoa. Why I gotta take off my jacket? He asked. Because you're the protector. Percy told him. And hot. Eno thought, clearing her throat. Grover nodded in agreement, yeah you're right, I am the protector. He said then took off his jacket. So that's why I'm gonna give you my hoodie instead. He handed his jacket to Eno and then took off his hoodie, then he gave it to Percy. Percy squatted down, disgusting he mumbled and balled the head up in the hoodie. Just throw it up. Grover told him. Percy threw up and Grover caught it with a disgusted look. Eyes, wait. Percy halted them, he saw 2 green orbs on Medusa's lifeless wrist. He plucked them off, getting a good look at them. 2 down, 2 more to go. Naruto handed Percy Riptide, then he smiled, guess who's the second person in history to behead Medusa? The first was my awesome late older half-brother, Perseus. And the second is his totally radical good-looking little half-brother Naruto Uzumaki. Annabeth smiled softly, you were real great out there. She told him, then ruffled his hair, causing Naruto to flush. A few minutes later everyone was in the red pickup truck down the road. Grover was driving, Naruto and Annabeth were in the front, and Percy and Eno were in the back. Annabeth held up the pearl, would have been nice if Luke had warned us about Medusa. Maybe he just didn't know. Eno told Annabeth. GPS from the gods, where to next? Grover asked Naruto, driving. Naruto grabbed the map looking for their next destination, let's a Parthenon, Nashville. Oh great. He said the last part sarcastically. Grover raised a brow, Nashville. He repeated. Darnum of my least favorite musiciae. Ha. Annabeth, Eno, and Naruto chuckled at his antics, while Percy was asleep leaning on the window. It was night time and an old country song was coming on. Naruto was asleep with Annabeth sleeping peacefully on his shoulder, Eno was asleep, early she feeling cold, so Grover gave her his jacket which she is snuggled up in, and Percy was still asleep. Grover's eyes felt heavy, then he closed his eyes beginning to fall asleep. The truck was heading for an 18-wheeler with bright lights, it was blowing the horn, the sound woke up everyone. Grover turned the other way. Percy panted, let's stop at a night inn. Let's stop at a night inn. He suggested. Grover nodded, ye good idea. Naruto slumped down in his seat, oh my god, oh my god. They pulled up at Homeland Night Inn, Grover got them a room. Grover decided to look at TV with Eno, Percy went to go swim at the swimming pool outside, Annabeth was reading this book about how Mount Olympus started, and Naruto was outside with Percy, but he was setting up a radio, turning it to 103x, then he wrote a letter to Annabeth telling her to meet him outside. Annabeth saw the letter on her bed and began reading it. Dear Annabeth. This is very important, but I broke both my legs out here and I only need your help. Please. Oh please. Sincerely, Naruto. Annabeth's eyes shot open wide, she ran outside only to spot Naruto with a grin and the radio playing. She frowned and stuffed the paper in her pocket and was now in front of him. The note you sent me said that you broke both your legs. They don't look broken to me. You scared me half to death. Annabeth snapped at the blonde. Naruto held up his hands, hey. I'm sorry for lying, but I knew if I told you the truth you wouldn't come. He said in an apologetic tone. Annabeth looked around, what do you want? She asked. Naruto gently took her hand in his, I want to dance with you. Annabeth blushed and shook her head, I can't dance. She mumbled. Naruto looked her in the eyes, I don't care if you can dance or not, I just want to dance with you. It doesn't have to be perfect. He smiled softly. Annabeth looked up in his eyes and wrapped her arms behind his neck, he wrapped his arms around his waist. The two began to slowly dance, looking into each other's eyes. Annabeth laid her head in his chest listening to his heartbeat. You may not think it, Annabeth, but you are truly amazing. Naruto whispered in her ear. Thanks, you're the first person to say that. Annabeth whispered. I think you're amazing yourself, but you probably already knew that. Naruto saw a mark on her wrist and he knitted his brows, what happened to you? Annabeth saw the mark, oh, that poor lady that turned to stone had a pretty strong grip. She joked. Naruto closed his eyes and blue energy was sent on her wrist, healing it instantly. Annabeth smiled, cool, very cool. Naruto smiled, hey, what's your mom like? He asked her with curiosity in his voice. I wouldn't know. I never met her. Annabeth told him somberly. Naruto frowned, is Thesis like this for everybody? Don't any gods see their kids? Annabeth slowly shook her head, it's forbidden. Right after we were born, your father decreed that gods weren't allowed to see their kids. Naruto scoffed, he's stupid. I agree. Annabeth told him. But between you and me, think sometimes I hear my mother speaking to me. Giving me advice when I'm in trouble. She whispered. No way. That's happened to me too. Yep, that's your father speaking to you. Naruto cleared his throat, hey Annie. Yeah? Listeni have felt this way since the moment I saw you. I think Naruto was cut off by Grover. Yo. Percy. Get in here man. This is ugly. Grover yelled out. Percy jumped out of the water and ran. What we're going to say? Annabeth asked him. Naruto sighed and shook his head, forget it was stupid anyways. Go inside, I'll meet you in there. Annabeth let go of him with a smile, okay. Thanks for the dance. She thanked walking off, but paused. She went up to him and kissed him lightly on the cheek, then went inside. Naruto was blushing heavily like no tomorrow. He slowly went into the room. He sat on the bed watching the TV. Grover sat on the bed, you're on TV. Surrounding the missing boy. Percy Jackson age 14 and his mother Sally Ugliano. Relatives have some interesting theories. Said the newswoman. So, Mr. Ugliano. Talk to me about your son Percy Jackson. The news reporter told Gabe. No. He's not son, stepson. He did not come from these loins. Gabe told the news reporter, gesturing to his private part. Ever since he started with the drugs and the alcohol, he's never been the same. Oh no. Percy groaned. 5 nights ago, he tried to kill me. And he threw his mother on the ground and his cripple friend then attacks me from behind and knocked me out. When I woke up, Sally was gone. She was kidnapped by Percy. She would never leave like. Percy grabbed the remote and switched the TV off. Oh shut up Gabe. Great. Now I'm a fugitive. Grover was eating an empty soda can, see? He said standing up chewing the can. That's what I'm talking about man. Gabe's always running his mouth. He just mad cause I busted him up with my crutches. He went into the bathroom then saw Medusa's head in the sink. Nuo. Guys, he began picking up the head by the snakes, I can't pee with her watching me. He complained gesturing to the head. Eno chuckled, well she isn't staying in here with us. That's for sure. Grover frowned when he saw a maid stop by and look through the window to see what he was holding up. She gasped then screamed. Grover's eyes widened, then he quickly put the head behind his back. The maid dropped her stuff and ran. Annabeth yanked the curtains together so no one could see through the window. Sorry guys. Grover apologized. I messed up, I should have closed the curtains. Naruto laughed, I haven't seen a girl run that fast since he saw everyone giving him the not the time face. Yeah, I'll shut up. Come on guys, let's go before Homeland Security shows up. Annabeth told them. So this part ends here. Alright, that's it for today's video guys. Let me know in the comments section how was the story, and also don't forget to like, share and subscribe. I will meet you in another video, bye bye.